Chapter 737. This made Su Qianxi very disappointed. In the end, she could not help picking up the phone and dialing. It was 9:00 in the morning in the Maldives. When Li Xicheng heard the call, it rang for a long time before he picked up. Li Xicheng's voice sounded sleepy, and his voice was low and hoarse like when he just woke up. "What's wrong?" The first sentence was not "hello," not "honey," not "Mrs. Li," but a distant "what's wrong?" Su Qianxi heard these three words, and her eyes were inexplicably sore. Her throat seemed to be blocked by something, and it hurt. Li Xicheng. Her voice was a bit nasal as she called him. She did not call him husband, nor did she call him Mr. Li, but called him by his full name. She rarely called his name directly, which was a sign that she was angry or in a bad mood. However, Li Xicheng just casually said, "Yeah." Su Qianxi's heart ached. He did not seem to notice, or, he pretended not to notice. Holding back the soreness in her eyes, she calmly asked, "What are you doing?" "Sleeping." "Where are you on a business trip?" "Dublin." Dublin, the capital of Ireland. He had said that he would take her to a grand wedding. But, he went alone, leaving her and the children in the Maldives. Why? Su Qianxi's heart ached, and she wanted to cry. God knew that as long as he gave her an explanation, she could lie to herself to believe him. But now, Su Qianxi did not feel confident at all. What was the difference between her behavior and that of those old women who were patrolling? Both sides were silent, so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. There was a soft knock. Li Xicheng's voice was still a little low, with emotions that she could not understand. He said, "It is 4:00 in the morning. I am very sleepy." Su Qianxi felt a dull pain in her heart. She did not say anything and hung up the phone. After the phone was hung up, Su Qianxi found that her eyes were full of tears. With a gentle blink, the tears fell. Her mood was terrible. She had been looking forward to the vacation, but because Li Xicheng did not come, she had no mood for a vacation. Especially now, that man did not even give her a call or an explanation. Su Qianxi felt even more gloomy. The three little guys were playing ball with a group of other children. They ran around happily, especially Li Jianyue. Her laughter could be heard from afar. Looking at the three little guys, Su Qianxi calmed down and opened the mom forum that she had been paying attention to for a long time. This was a website created by Louis Han, which had a large number of users. He directly made her the moderator of gossip. Su Qianxi clicked the post and asked, "Under what circumstances will a man be tired of his wife?" After explaining the situation, there was a large number of replies below. Bear's mother, the moderator, actually made a post. There were many such situations. For example, a woman became a faded old woman after giving birth. Her figure was not good, her skin was not good, or she got tired of it after a long time. For a man, there was actually no reason. Gao Zhuangjiecheng, if you don't like it, then you don't like it. Men are always looking for something new. They'll get tired of it when they're tired of it. Chapter 738. Tutu, men are all like this. 80% of your husband's heart is like this. If you don't want to give it to me, then so be it. Anyway, it's not like there is no other choice. I'll find a woman who is prettier and sexier than you to piss you off. Then I'll take this opportunity to tell you that he is very attractive and you are not the only one. The replies were like 100,000 critical hits for Su Qianxi. Every sentence stabbed into her heart. That was exactly what she was thinking. However, 4 years ago, he could go to an abandoned warehouse alone for her and narrowly escaped death. If he really did not love her anymore, then wouldn't all their love become a joke? So, it couldn't be. He must be busy. However, such self-deceiving words were shattered into pieces by a message in the afternoon. At 3:00 in the afternoon, the children were tired and taking a nap. Su Qianxi was not in the mood to play at all. Sitting in the room, she was looking at the post she posted today. A WeChat message came in. Louis Han, picture. In the picture, Li Xicheng was sitting in the passenger seat of a car, and a woman was sitting in the driver's seat. She looked to be in her 20s or 30s, blonde hair and blue eyes, wearing a beautiful brown trench coat and delicate makeup on her face. The two seemed to be talking. Li Xicheng's face was soft, just like when he looked at her. Su Qianxi held the phone in the room and enlarged the picture again and again. Every detail and every facial feature was clearly visible. After so many years of acquaintance, this person was Li Xicheng, the Li Xicheng she loved deeply. Looking at this picture for a long while, Su Qianxi immediately felt that her sky was about to collapse. Finally, she couldn't hold it anymore, holding the phone and crying. That woman was the woman at the airport that day. What about the senior sister? Would he have this expression when talking to his senior sister? Even when talking to his parents, Li Xicheng had never had this expression. She used to think that this attitude of his was exclusive to her. She used to think that Li Xicheng would only be gentle to her. As he said, he loved her forever. However, the reality gave her two bloody cuts. Why? Was it only because of her rejection a few days ago? Su Qianxi suddenly felt it was ridiculous. Or was it just an excuse? In fact, he had wanted to dump her for a long time, so he deliberately exhausted her and pestered her again and again, preparing for his ultimate move? So ruthless, Li Xicheng's ultimate move had completely defeated her. She could no longer hold on to any hope. She picked up the phone and dialed Li Xicheng's number. It rang a dozen times before he picked up. As soon as she picked up, Su Qianxi heard a giggle. It was a woman's voice. Holding back her tears, she asked in a nasal voice, "What are you doing?" "I'm busy." Li Xicheng's voice was soft, sounding no different from usual. "What's wrong?" After a moment of silence, she asked, "Li Xicheng." If you don't want to be with me anymore, remember to tell me. I won't pester you. If you have another woman outside, also remember to tell me. I wouldn't want a man with another woman." However, she could not bring herself to say the last sentence. Chapter 739. Su Qianxi's voice was nasal and sobbing. After a long silence, he said, "Don't think too much. I'm a little busy with work recently. I can't leave Dublin. I'll go back in a few days. Don't think too much. Be good." "Really?" "Yes, really." "Then what are you doing in Ireland?" Su Qianxi sobbed even harder and could not help crying out loud. "What's the matter? Can you just tell me? I'm here thinking about it all by myself. I'm going crazy. I can't stand it anymore." Li Xicheng frowned and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong with you? What happened?" She suddenly did not know what to say. If she told him that it was Louis Han who told her, it would definitely hurt Louis Han. However, his heart felt terrible. She never knew that Li Xicheng was such a person. His acting skills were so good, not only in front of others, but also in front of her. Such a beautiful woman was sitting next to him, and his expression was so gentle, but now he was telling her that he was a little busy with work. Liar. "Su Qianxi," he said in a low voice. "Don't overthink. I'm really busy." "Then why didn't you call me?" "I was too busy to remember." Su Qianxi suddenly felt like laughing, but she couldn't do it. In the past, no matter how busy he was, he would never forget. In the past, no matter how busy he was, he would never end the conversation first, nor would he hang up the phone first. He had changed. Not wanting to say anything more, she hung up the phone. Li Xicheng called back, and she immediately hung up. She thought that Li Xicheng would call back. However, there was nothing left. His heart was cold and dead. This situation made her feel even worse than when they quarreled. His phone vibrated. It was WeChat. Louis Han, come to Dublin. It's not convenient for me to show up. If you have anything to say, you can say it to him face to face. Louis Han, smile, I'll pick you up when we arrive. I'm tracking down the hotel where he is staying and booked a room for you next to him. Su Qianxi felt even more ridiculous when she saw what he had said. Did Louis Han mean that he wanted her to catch them in the act? Maybe if she lived next to him, she would be able to catch him red-handed in bed? Su Qianxi, Han, I don't want to go. Louis Han, Su Qianxi, the kids are still young. I don't want to fall out with them. Louis Han, tidying herself up, she went to the children's room and rang the doorbell. Shuang Yu opened the door and let her in. The children were all sleeping soundly. When Li Jianxian slept, he looked exactly like Li Xicheng. They were still so young. Their 4th birthday was in 3 days, and her birthday was tomorrow. From now on, I'll celebrate every birthday for you. Today is my birthday, right? Yes. If I want a birthday wish, you will grant it, right? Yes. Then, you'll only celebrate my birthday in the future, okay? At that time, he looked down at her and only said one word, okay. After 4 years of separation, she had thought that he would celebrate her birthday with her this time. However, the reality was often crueler than the ideal. He was not by her side. Looking at the sleeping children, she took a deep breath after a long while. She took a deep breath, turned on her phone, and booked 7 tickets to Dublin. Chapter 740. The sudden decision caught the children and the bodyguards off guard. Su Qianxi asked them to pack up and check out of the room. The group hurried to the airport. Coincidentally, the person who had failed to talk to the children a few days ago saw them clearly from behind. Twisting her sexy waist, she pushed up her sunglasses and asked the receptionist at the front desk, "She checked out? So fast?" "Yes." "How long was she supposed to stay?" "It must have been a week, right?" The receptionist smiled and did not speak. With a chuckle, she quickly went upstairs. Su Qianxi soon arrived at the airport. When she boarded the plane and was about to turn it off, she saw a WeChat message. "You Lily, Qianxian, are you there?" Yu Lily rarely looked for her. Su Qianxi was a little surprised and replied, "Yes." Yu Lily also quickly replied, "Well, I am a little short of money now. Can I borrow some money from you?" Su Qianxi, "How much?" Yu Lily, 5,000. Without hesitation, Su Qianxi directly clicked transfer and transferred 5,000 to her. Su Qianxi, "I am going to turn off my phone, on the plane." Yu Lily, "Thank you." Friend has confirmed to receive the money. Getting the money, Yu Lily finally breathed a sigh of relief. She quickly paid the rent, and after seeing the landlord send an okay gesture, she sat down again. After resting for half a month, the bruises on her body had almost healed. However, because she had rested for half a month, Yu Lily did not have a salary. Every day, she spent a lot. She was used to spending money extravagantly and consumed a lot. It couldn't go on like this. She had to find a part-time job. Counting the money she had, Yu Lily only had more than 300 yuan left. She had just paid the rent for a quarter in WeChat, leaving only a few dozen yuan in change. So miserable, she went downstairs to buy a bowl of noodles and paid 10 yuan with WeChat. Yu Lily began to worry about her livelihood. These days, she had to find a part-time job. After searching online, she finally found a part-time job in a flower shop. When she used to live with Oh Ming, she learned flower arranging and cutting when she was bored, and her skills were not bad. 3 meals a day, 150 yuan a day, mainly to help during the National Day. Yu Lily thought about it and called. Soon, the boss informed her of the interview and asked her to go to work the next day. The shop owner was a middle-aged woman with a mild temperament. Throughout the day, she had been wrapping the flowers, helping to move the flowers, and trimming them. Lily was busy from 8 in the morning until the florist closed at 7 in the evening. Only then could she change her clothes and go home. As soon as she got home, Lily collapsed onto the bed. She didn't even want to take a shower. Inadvertently, she tilted her head and saw Oh Ming's photo on the wall. Subconsciously, she thought of the last time they met. Oh Ming's cold and sarcastic smile. Lily let out a long sigh of relief. After taking a shower, she lay down on the bed in exhaustion and fell asleep. The next day, after Lily had gotten used to the intensity of the previous day's work, it was obvious that she had adapted a lot. However, she met an absolutely unexpected person, her immediate boss, Mr. Li. Chapter 741. No. Lily was a little embarrassed and smiled. I'm just doing a part-time job here. That's amazing. Mr. Li looked at Lily's hand and sighed. It must be very hard. Look at your hand, it's rough. It used to be white and tender. Then he reached out to hold Lily's hand, but Lily pulled it back before he could touch it. Lily smiled a little awkwardly. Mr. Li, buy it for your wife? Yes, it's our wedding anniversary. Mr. Li smiled with his eyes squinted. Are your injuries healed? Can you come back to work after the festival? Yes. Yes, my part-time job will last until after the festival, and then I will go back to work. Well, it's a good thing to be diligent. Work hard, and I will tell you about your new position when you come back. Lily nodded and smiled while wrapping the flowers. Finally, she handed the 99 roses to him and said, It's done, Mr. Li, thank you, thank you. Mr. Li reached out to take it. Intentionally or unintentionally, his palm touched the back of Lily's hands, and the smile on his face deepened. How much? Lily didn't care too much. 600. Mr. Li nodded and took out his wallet with the flowers. After counting, he gave Lily 600 yuan. Then, he counted 300 yuan bills and put them in Lily's hand. The packaging is so good. This is your tip. Mr. Li, Mr. Li's smile deepened, but he quickly became angry. It's just a tip. It's normal for customers to give tips. Are you looking down on me? No, I just think it's too much. She said and was about to put it back. But Mr. Li took the opportunity to hold her hand, pushed it back, and said meaningfully, You are worth the price. Before Lily had time to think, Mr. Li put her hand back and left with the flowers. You are worth the price. Lily felt that this sentence was a little strange, so she looked back at the proprietress. The proprietress also looked at Mr. Li with a strange look and asked, Who is that? My company's boss. Here, Sister Qin, this is the money he gave me. As for the tip, can we split it together? The money is for me, and the tip is for you. Keep it for yourself. It's not easy for a girl like you. But as your big sister, I have to remind you that you have to be careful. He seems to like you very much. Since he has a family, you have to keep a distance from him. Of course, Lily said with a smile. She took the money and whispered, This guy is so old. If I want to find someone, I will find someone tall, rich, and handsome. Sister Qin chuckled, A man doesn't have to be tall, rich, or handsome. He just has to be nice to you. You're so pretty, you can find anyone you want. There's no hurry. Lily's heart warmed and she nodded. Yes. You can come and help me on weekends when you are free. Sister Qin is very busy. It's okay on weekdays, but it's very tiring on holidays. With a beauty here, my business is much better. If you come back next time, I'll give you some tips, okay? Chapter 742. Okay, then it's decided. Sister Qin happily took Lily's hand. Lily, do you have a boyfriend? You are so beautiful and have such a good personality. There must be a lot of people chasing after you. Lily smiled. No. My circle is relatively small, and I don't have a boyfriend. Do you have someone you like? She subconsciously thought of Ming's face in her mind. Lily narrowed her eyes and slowly shook her head. Not at the moment. That's great. My son is a graduate student, about the same age as you. He is about to graduate. When he comes back, I will introduce him to you. Sister Qin's enthusiasm somewhat scared Lily. Lily smiled awkwardly. I am afraid that your son will not like me. Let's talk about it later. Sister Qin saw Lily's embarrassment. The more she looked, the more she liked her. She smiled and did not tease her. Lily finally breathed a sigh of relief and thought far away. I wonder how he is now. At the Dublin airport, Ming had just left the airport and saw a few familiar figures. It was actually Su Qianxi and the children. The temperature in Dublin was a bit low. Today's temperature was 10 degrees Celsius. They all looked a bit thinly dressed. Ming stopped behind and did not dare to go forward. He took a photo with his phone and sent it to Li Xicheng. He typed, "Your wife and children are all here. Did you ask them to come?" Seeing that they led them to the children's clothing store, Ming took his luggage and walked forward, carefully avoiding Su Qianxi's sight. While Su Qianxi was buying equipment for the children and changing clothes, she picked up her phone and was ready to call Li Xicheng. But she quickly changed her mind. After hanging up, she called Luihan. Luihan's voice sounded sleepy, as if he was sleeping. Qianqian? I have arrived in Dublin. I just left the airport and am in the children's clothing store inside the airport. Luihan was a little surprised, jumped up from the bed and asked, "Didn't you say you would not come? You changed your mind? What, you won't come to pick us up?" Su Qianxi teased. "Help me book a hotel." We agreed to book it next to Li Xicheng. The hotel he's staying in now has no vacancies. Why don't you come to my hotel? How do you know? Didn't you not know I was coming? Su Qianxi felt a little strange, narrowing her eyes and asking. I just sent the client over, and he got the last room, and your room is the VIP suite on the top floor, which is the only one in the entire hotel. Luihan thought about his words and said tentatively, "Where are you now?" "Airport." "All right, I'll be right there." While waiting for Luihan, Su Qianxi took the child to eat at the airport restaurant. After eating, Luihan just arrived at the airport gate. Walking out, she found that Luihan had considerately rented a nanny van. After everyone sat down in the back seat, Luihan quickly arranged for them to stay in his hotel. After she settled the children, she asked Luihan what the name of the hotel Li Xicheng was staying at. Chapter 743. Catching an adulterer in bed, she couldn't believe that Li Xicheng would say something like that. Su Qianxi only felt suffocated, and her eyes were wet. She picked up the phone and dialed Li Xicheng's number. Now it was past 8 a.m. in Dublin. At this time, if Li Xicheng was not with her, he should have already gotten up to work. However, the phone rang a dozen times before it was picked up, and it was a sleepy voice. "What's wrong?" Su Qianxi heard these 3 words and felt more intense than ever. These 3 words were like a heavy hammer, hitting Su Qianxi's heart. Her eyes were stinging, and her tear ducts collapsed. Tears flowed down. Without saying anything, she hung up the phone. Li Xicheng was bewildered. He sat up and found that there were a few unread WeChat messages. He did not have many WeChat friends, less than 30 in total, and they were all family and friends. He opened it and saw it was Ming. Seeing the pictures and words he sent, Li Xicheng looked at them for a long while and smiled. Su Qianxi bit her lower lip and looked at Luihan. Her red eyes were filled with tears. Do you know what is going on with him? Luihan felt a bit sorry for her. Seeing her like this, he reached out and wanted to wipe her tears. However, his big hand quickly paused in the air. He turned around, took out 2 tissues, and said, "Nothing." Then why did you say that he caught an adulterer in bed? Did you see him with another woman? Su Qianxi's voice was full of grievance. Ihan, he has been very cold to me these days, which is different from before. He used to be very attached to me, and now he doesn't even call me. These days, I'm in the Maldives with the children, and I'm almost going crazy. You know, I don't know what I've done wrong. Is it really like what the internet says, that as long as a man is tired of a woman's body, he will no longer like it? However, Li Xicheng should not be such a person. Li Xicheng, her Li Xicheng, should not be such a person. Luihan was silent for a moment. His eyes were full of unknown meaning, and his expression was a bit complicated. He said, "Not all men are like this, in other words, most men were like this." Disappointed, she sat on the sofa, feeling frustrated. Luihan looked at her and didn't feel good either. He knew her very well. Su Qianxi had been an orphan since she was a child and had always been worried about gains and losses. Li Xicheng was too outstanding, and they had been apart for 4 years. It was normal for her to feel insecure about such a man. But, unfortunately, he could no longer insert a single inch. Luihan knew that. Looking down, he felt even more frustrated than Su Qianxi. Go in and sleep for a while. I'll pay attention to him. I'll call you if anything happens. The children had been on the plane for a long time and were also tired. They had already eaten and slept together. Hearing his words, she nodded and entered the room. However, he didn't sleep. Instead, he stared at the ceiling in a daze. What was she doing? Going to a foreign country to catch him in the act? Su Qianxi's heart seemed to be squeezed by something. An inexplicable thought came to her mind. She had become an old woman that Li Xicheng did not want. Chapter 744. The more she thought about it, the worse she felt. Su Qianxi tossed and turned for a long time before she fell asleep. At night, the sky was full of stars, shining. Su Qianxi opened her eyes, and there was no one around her. She got up from the bed and went to the children's room. There was no one there either. The entire suite was horribly empty. Su Qianxi somehow felt a bit flustered and called, "Honey." Suddenly, there was a coquettish laughter from outside, with obvious pride. Su Qianxi looked in the direction of the sound. A hot woman came in holding the arm of a tall man. The man was tall and straight, with a handsome face and indifferent lines. At this moment, he stood straight, looking at Su Qianxi in front of him. His expression was calm and indifferent. Looking at Su Qianxi, his dark and deep eyes were cold without any warmth. Su Qianxi's heart ached under his piercing gaze. What made it most difficult for her to accept was that the woman holding his arm turned out to be Tang Menjing. Tang Menjing's face was intact, as beautiful as before. At this moment, she was holding Li Xicheng's arm, smiling charmingly. Su Qianxi, do you think you can become a phoenix after marrying brother Xicheng? After getting married and having children, aren't you just an old woman? Then, on the other side of Li Xicheng, a beautiful, tall woman with blonde hair and blue eyes walked out, also holding Li Xicheng's arm, provoking him in broken Chinese, "Yellow-face bitch." Su Qianxi couldn't stand it anymore and rushed forward, but there was nothing. His entire body trembled violently, and then he opened his eyes. It was dark around, and the light in the room was not turned on. Su Qianxi gasped and wiped her forehead, which was already sweaty. She stood up and opened the door, and cold air rushed in. She walked out barefoot, and there was no one in the living room. Walking to the children's room, she found that the children were really gone. Her heart skipped a beat, and she was shocked. Beep! Hearing the sound of the door being opened, Su Qianxi suddenly turned around and saw Luihan walking in. Just behind Luihan, a waiter was waiting, pushing a dining cart with covered dishes on it. Luihan saw her wake up and waved to her. "You're awake? Come and eat." She looked at him and asked, "Where are the children?" "I just asked Shuangyu to take them to play in the nearby park." Luihan opened the lid of the meal. "Come on, it's getting late. We can leave after dinner." Su Qianxi looked at the steaming food, a bit dazed, nodded, and entered the room. Sweating all over, she felt a bit uncomfortable. She said she was going to take a shower and then went into the bathroom. When he came out of the shower, the food was already a little cold. It was already past 8 o'clock in the evening when they finished eating. Luihan walked in front, and she followed him closely. However, she somehow did not dare to go forward. She paused and asked tentatively, "How about I call him and ask what he is doing? It's still so early, maybe." Chapter 745. Exposing Li Xicheng's True Colors. Inexplicably, Su Qianxi felt that this sentence was really too much. There was a voice roaring in her heart, "You are the one who did not show your true colors." However, no matter how angry she was, she could not say a word. Throwing his hand away, she went straight to the elevator and pressed the button. Luihan saw that she was not in a good mood and did not speak. Entering the elevator, she asked, "Where are Desu and Ursu?" "Playing downstairs. Shuangyu, Cheng and Da are watching. It will be fine." "Okay." With them watching the children, Su Qianxi was more assured. It was a black Bentley. This model looked good, but it was not so fast. Following Luihan in the car, she found that Luihan had changed his car. She followed him into the car, fastened her seatbelt, and asked, "Where is the hotel?" Su Qianxi followed Luihan into the car. After fastening her seatbelt, she asked, "Where is the hotel?" But Su Qianxi could not tell exactly what was strange. Luihan's car stopped in front of a magnificent hotel. However, before Su Qianxi unfastened her seatbelt, Luihan suddenly exclaimed, "Do you think that person looks like Li Xicheng?" Su Qianxi looked in the direction he was pointing and saw a tall figure. Short hair, straight posture, and she could not see his face clearly. She could only see his back, with a red bag on his shoulder. Su Qianxi only glanced at him, and before she could see clearly, the man had already entered the car. Before she could figure out if it was Li Xicheng, Luihan started the car again and chased in the direction of the car. The car was very fast and seemed to be in a hurry. Su Qianxi exclaimed. Luihan said, "Sit tight. I'm going to catch up." "Wait, Luihan, that may not be him." "Did you see it? Are you sure it's not him?" Luihan's tone was a bit urgent. "It's too much. He is even carrying a woman's bag. This is intolerable." Luihan's words were powerful, and Su Qianxi's emotions could not help but be affected. Actually, carrying a woman's bag. This was too much. Luihan stepped on the gas and chased after her. Opposite them was a red Porsche, which looked coquettish and handsome. It did not seem like Li Xicheng. Even if he rented a car, with Luihan's style, he would at least rent a black or white one, right? The red one was Luihan's style. Su Qianxi vaguely felt that something was wrong, but the car quickly got on the highway, closely following the red Porsche, rushing straight up. Logically speaking, if the car in front discovered that someone was following them, it should stop to take a look or ask. However, the car in front drove faster and faster as if it was afraid of being caught up. Luihan's firepower was also stronger, so the distance between the two cars was moderate, and they soon got out of the city. Suddenly, a large wave of rose petals scattered from the car in front of them. The pink petals even stuck to the car window. There was an indescribable sense of beauty when they flew over from the front. The further they went, the more remote the surrounding roads became. Not knowing how long the car had been driving, when Su Qianxi was about to throw up, the car in front of her suddenly stopped. The place where the car stopped was in the wilderness. The bright moon was shining, and the surroundings were covered with a layer of faint silver light. A man got out of the car in front of them. It was the tall man carrying a red bag. At this moment, he turned his head and looked the most classic Irish. After getting out of the car, he smiled brightly and gave Louis-Han a big thumbs up. Louis-Han curled his lips and raised his eyebrows, looking at Su Qianxi. Su Qianxi was dazed. Before she spoke, the surroundings suddenly lit up with brilliant silver light. Chapter 746. The dazzling light was so dazzling that she slightly turned her head to avoid the light. Louis-Han opened the roof of the car, and the dazzling light shone through it, like a divine halo in a dream. Su Qianxi suddenly felt a bit dazed and a bit confused. She was not sure what was going on, but she was not sure what was going on. In an instant, it was midnight. A beautiful silver bird flew over his head, bringing with it specks of silver light that drifted down along with the air. The specks of light were like stars in a dream. Seeing this, Louis-Han got out of the car, went to the passenger side, and opened the door for Su Qianxi. He reached out and said, "Qianqian, someone is waiting for you." Or rather, it was waiting for them. He was waiting for Louis-Han to take her there. As a knight. In Louis-Han's deep eyes, there was an indescribable complexity. The deep pain seemed to have settled for thousands of years and could no longer be revealed. Su Qianxi looked at Louis-Han's hand and felt a little dazed. However, she still stretched out her hand and gently put it on his hand. Just at the moment when Su Qianxi got out of the car, there was a cheer around. Su Qianxi was shocked and looked to the side. At the same time, the wind blew and swept everything away. Not far ahead, there was a tornado, rolling all kinds of beautiful and fragrant petals. A fragrant wind swept over and landed on Su Qianxi's body. Flowers danced around her, breathtakingly beautiful and dazzling. Louis-Han led her toward the open space in front of them. Around them, layers of lights were ignited. The silver light increased layer by layer, and in the end, Su Qianxi could not even see the surrounding scenery. The whole world was only left with a vast expanse of silver light. So dazzling, so bright. The rest, there was nothing. Su Qianxi inexplicably felt a little flustered. However, at this time, Louis-Han held her hand and gently raised it, kissing it lightly like a feather. Su Qianxi's heart trembled, and she looked at Louis-Han incredulously. Louis-Han's eyes were soft and watery, but with an indescribable reluctance. He said softly, "My princess, I wish you happiness. My Qianqian, I wish you happiness. My first love, I wish you happiness. I am no longer qualified to stand by your side." A knight was destined to be a knight. The one to protect the princess could only be her prince. Louis-Han smiled gently and let go of her hand. She was surrounded by emptiness, but the only thing she could rely on let go of her hand at this moment. Su Qianxi was shocked and subconsciously grabbed his hand, shouting, "Louis-Han, what are you doing?" The smile on Louis-Han's face deepened, but his heart felt like it was being torn apart again. "Stand here, don't move." Louis-Han let go of her hand and slowly stepped back, reluctantly looking away. In the end, his figure was hidden in a large area of silver light. She could no longer see him clearly. It was as if he had decided to disappear from her world. The inexplicable feeling made Su Qianxi feel a bit suffocated. Just as Zhang Xian was at a loss for what to do, he suddenly felt something tighten around his waist. A familiar feeling and aura came from behind him. Su Qianxi's body stiffened, and her whole body froze. Chapter 747. The low and deep voice in her ears overlapped with the one from 4 years ago. Back then, he had been beaten to the brink of death in front of her eyes. Just as she was about to break down, he had said the same thing to her. The voice triggered the flood of memories. Su Qianxi's eyes were wet, but her body did not move a bit. It was as if the man who vomited blood and smiled at her appeared in front of her again. Li Xicheng hugged her from behind, his arms getting tighter and closer. Putting his face into her neck, he gently kissed her cheek and whispered, "Mrs. Li, happy birthday." Su Qianxi's body was stiff, and she did not respond. Or rather, she had forgotten how to react. Suddenly, there was a burst of cheers. The silver light that had just shrouded the sky and the earth, from somewhere above, seemed to be gently touched by the center of the enchantment and quickly began to recede. The surroundings returned to the pitch-black and boundless expanse, and light and dreamy music rang out. Colorful butterflies fluttered about on the ground, bringing with them a colorful radiance as they fluttered about in the sky. The butterflies flew high in the sky. Su Qianxi couldn't help but look up and accidentally saw the sky full of stars, densely packed with moonlight. The bright stars were inlaid in the dark night sky. In front of her eyes, the butterflies were flying, and there seemed to be silver light lingering, shocking. Su Qianxi had lived 2 lives and had never seen such a scene. Amazing! The beautiful pictures she had seen in both lives were probably not even 1 in 10,000 of what she had seen in front of her. Touched, was this the true face of Li Xicheng's affair? Unconsciously, Su Qianxi had tears in her eyes. In front of her, it was enough to satisfy any woman's beautiful fantasy. Dreamy, exquisite, and soul-stirring beauty. This was not the special effects in the movies, nor was it the scene in her dream, but the real face of Li Xicheng in front of her. "Mom! Happy birthday!" A young voice came from afar. The voices of the 3 little fellows converged together to form a simple birthday wish. Li Jianyue was wearing a white dreamy princess dress and holding a large gift box in her hand. She was running toward Su Qianxi with her short legs. When the little fellow ran, his hair was blown by the wind around him. His little face was flushed. Holding the big gift box, he shouted as if he was asking for praise, "Mummy, Mummy, this is Daddy's birthday present for you." Su Qianxi's eyes were sore, and she couldn't help crying. But at the same time, she couldn't help but laugh through her tears. "Why are you here?" Li Jianyue tilted her head, looked at Li Xicheng behind Su Qianxi, and said with a smile, "Dad picked us up, saying that today is Mom's birthday, and we have to give Mom a big surprise." Li Xicheng chuckled and loosened his grip slightly. She squatted down, took the gift box from the little guy, and opened it. It was a pair of transparent crystal shoes. Seeing the shoes, Su Qianxi was dazed. When Li Jianyue saw it, she blinked and looked up at her father. Soon, she smiled happily, turned around, and ran back with her short legs. Chapter 748. Li Mosen was wearing a handsome and beautiful white suit, holding a gift box that was larger than his body, which looked a bit funny. Su Qianxi saw the little guy like this, chuckled and opened her arms to welcome his gift. Li Mosen's little face suddenly turned red, and he shouted, "Mom, happy birthday." Su Qianxi rubbed his little head. "Thank you, Mosen. This is a gift from Dad to you." Su Qianxi chuckled and opened the gift box. There was a white dress lying inside. The first thing she saw was the dazzling diamond, as well as the exquisite and neat handmade traces. The beautiful white dress made Su Qianxi couldn't help but hold her breath. Picking up the dress, he discovered that it was an exquisite and beautiful white dress that was so elegant that it could enchant one's heart. Beautiful. This is a wedding dress. Li Mosen's little face was also stunned, but soon, he ran away with a red face. The surroundings were pitch black. Colorful butterflies were still fluttering in the air, and silver light was slowly lingering in the air. In the haze, the bright moonlight shone down, covering the sky full of stars and surprises, but the surrounding darkness was still not covered. Su Qianxi knew that there were many, many people around. There were at least dozens of people exclaiming like that. However, under such light, Su Qianxi did not see anyone except Li Xicheng and a few little guys who ran out to send things. Li Jianxian was the last to appear, unlike the two little guys before him, who ran out wildly. Instead, he stood straight, holding a bright red rose in his hand, and walked slowly toward this side. There was no expression on his little face. His black hair was combed into a handsome style, and his white straight suit looked formal and cute. The little guy walked in front of Su Qianxi, bowed to her like a gentleman, handed out the rose, and said, "Dear mother, please accept my most sincere blessing, I wish you a happy birthday." Su Qianxi couldn't help but chuckle, took the rose, and reached out to rub his little head. Li Jianxian's little face was red, and he took her hand away with some dissatisfaction and said, "Don't touch my hair, it will be messed up." Then he took out a white velvet box from his pocket and said, "Finally, I wish Mom and Dad a long life together." Seeing the long box, Su Qianxi was dazed. When Li Jianxian saw that his mother didn't take it, he looked up at his father. Li Xicheng curled his lips, took the ring box, and gently pushed him. "Go play with your sister." Li Jianxian was a little annoyed by his words, but he didn't say anything. He turned around and walked back. Looking at her son's back, she took a long while to come back to herself and looked at Li Xicheng. Li Xicheng smiled and opened the box in his hand. There was a man's ring with straight lines, and there was a picture of a deer on it. As for the other one, it was a pigeon's egg diamond that was designed into a deer's head. It looked playful yet exquisite. "Have I ever told you that you're like a little deer most of the time?" Li Xicheng's eyes seemed to be embedded in the night lake, which was shimmering and dark. At the same time, there was a reflection of the moon surrounded by stars, so beautiful that it was hard to look away. Chapter 749. Do you like it? Hearing this question, Su Qianxi smiled with red eyes. Do you like it? Who wouldn't like it? Who wouldn't like such a birthday? Instead of replying, she leaped forward and threw herself into his arms. Li Xicheng was caught off guard, but his posture was still as steady as a mountain, not shaking at all. Holding her in his arms with one hand, Li Xicheng bowed his head and looked at her with a smile. Su Qianxi looked up, pouted, and punched him hard in the chest. She closed her eyes, and large drops of tears rolled down her cheeks. She cursed, "You bastard!" Li Xicheng did not resist, letting her punch him without making a sound. Su Qianxi punched him a few times, and her tears became more and more intense. Finally, she threw herself into his arms and burst into tears. "I thought you had someone else. I was scared to death." Li Xicheng smiled gently, held her in his arms, and said in a low voice, "You don't have confidence, either. How can someone else be as good as you?" Su Qianxi cried even harder, holding his waist with her hands, crying like a child. She hit his back hard and shouted, "Why did you lie to me? I was scared to death. You even colluded with Yihan to lie to me. You know that I trust Yihan the most. You, bad guy." Li Xicheng hugged her and wiped away her tears with pity, but he could not hide the smile on his lips. He whispered, "Don't cry. You liar." "Well, I am a liar." Li Xicheng wiped the tears from her eyes with his big hand and whispered, "Don't cry, okay? You have to be a bride later. What if you look ugly?" Su Qianxi was so scared that she immediately choked and blinked at him, a little dazed. Li Xicheng looked at her with deep eyes and chuckled. His forehead touched hers, and he bowed his head to kiss her. "Don't cry." Su Qianxi sniffled, feeling wronged. God knew that her mood these days was even worse than when Li Xicheng did not come back. She really thought that he did not want her anymore. She really thought that he cheated on her. Thinking of this, Su Qianxi's throat was choked again, and she sobbed while holding him. Li Xicheng frowned. Seeing that she was about to cry, he hugged her and kissed her lips. Su Qianxi was kissed so suddenly that she stopped crying. He hugged her and deepened the kiss. His hands slowly climbed up her shoulders and took the wedding dress from her hands. His movements were gentle and full of pity. She responded obediently, and the two of them kissed. In the overwhelming silver light and colorful butterflies, it seemed dreamy and distant. The surroundings were filled with cheers, mocking whistles, cheers, and voices of agreement. All of them gathered together. She was shocked and quickly pushed him away. The smile on Li Xicheng's face widened. He gently reached out and waved. Suddenly, the surrounding lights and scenery changed with the two of them as the center. Several women ran toward Su Qianxi, and Su Qianxi recognized them at a glance. One of them was Cheng Yu. And just behind her, wasn't it Sunny who had styled her in the Maldives? The lights around them changed, and the music grew louder. The music playing in the scene was the most classic, I Love You. Imritherphoria there's nothing more atose I'm just the Pithidi Aremini Andrataste I love you, I'm waiting for you here. No words are needed. I'm very happy that you belong to me. I love you. Dash. Chapter 750. Here, it was a wilderness. If it was natural, then it would be natural grass and trees. Louis Han looked at Su Qianxi being surrounded and left, with envy in his eyes. In the distance, Li Xicheng was wearing a straight white suit and a white bow tie. His tall and straight figure, in such light, looked particularly handsome. This man was too excellent. Not only was she outstanding in appearance, but also in her heart. Louis Han was ashamed of his own inferiority. When Li Xicheng came to him last week and asked him to help plan the wedding, Louis Han refused. He and Louis Han were rivals in love. Why would Louis Han help his rival? But later, seeing more and more smiles on Qianqian's face and the children's happiness. Their family of 5 was so happy that it made people envious. Several times in his sleep, he dreamed of Su Qianxi's reproachful expression. She asked, "Why don't you want to surprise me, why don't you want to give me happiness? Don't you like me? Don't you love me? Why are you so selfish if you love me?" Louis Han also asked himself. Why are you so selfish? If you love someone, you should hope that the other party is happy from the bottom of your heart, right? After discovering that Luo Zhan was very likely to like him, Louis Han thought of running away. Maybe it was a coincidence, maybe it was an excuse. Louis Han accidentally saw the word Ireland at the airport. Since he had nowhere to go, he might as well give her a surprise. Give her one last surprise with his participation. In the past few days, Louis Han had witnessed Li Xicheng working from morning to night, sleeping less than 5 hours a day. From the design of the wedding dress to the design of the venue, Li Xicheng did many things by himself, not allowing any small mistakes. When he saw the venue, Louis Han was only shocked. After asking, he learned that Li Xicheng had been planning it since 5 years ago. After 4 years of absence, Li Xicheng had made it more perfect and detailed, making everything more dreamy. What a surprise! Louis Han was ashamed of his efforts. Seeming to have noticed Louis Han's gaze, the tall white figure slightly leaned over. Li Xicheng turned his head and looked in the direction of Louis Han, seeming to be in a very good mood. Because of the exhaustion of staying up all night for several days, there were not many traces of fatigue on his face. He was as indifferent as ever, but this time, his face looked softer than usual. Li Xicheng walked toward Louis Han. At the same time, Ming also walked toward Li Xicheng. When the three of them gathered, Louis Han suddenly felt a little awkward. If he remembered correctly, their relationship seemed to be a little complicated. He liked Su Qianxi, and she liked him. But, Yu Lily liked him, and he took care of her. Ming met up with Li Xicheng and walked toward Louis Han at the same time. Li Xicheng threw it to Louis Han. It was a firework. Putting the fireworks on his chest, Louis Han took the cigarette that Ming handed over. Li Xicheng looked at him meaningfully. Thank you. I didn't help you. I just wanted to give Qianqian a surprise. Louis Han took the cigarette, lit it, and slowly took a puff. You got lucky. Chapter 751. Li Xiqing heard that and chuckled. Ming also lit a cigarette, glanced at Louis Han, and asked, How long have you known Yu Lily? Louis Han did not expect Ming to suddenly speak. After a pause, he looked calm, exhaled the smoke, thought for a moment, and said, About 9 years, or 10 years. It's not a short time, but we didn't communicate much. In high school, she and Qianqian had to work to earn tuition fees, but I was desk mate with Qianqian at that time, so our relationship was better. As for my relationship with Yu Lily, it was more ordinary. It was just a little better than ordinary classmates. Su Qianxi had been working in convenience stores or shopping malls, while Yu Lily went directly to bars or KTV to sell cigarettes and alcohol. This way of making money was certainly faster. He also believed that Yu Lily would protect herself well, but, later he learned that Yu Lily was a mistress of a rich man, and finally, the last trace of good impression Louis Han had for Yu Lily was gone. Men liked good girls, and Louis Han was no exception. In contrast, Su Qianxi was more gentle and well-behaved. Therefore, for a person like Yu Lily, Louis Han had avoided her as much as possible in the past few years. After all, it was not a secret that she liked him. Hearing Louis Han's explanation, Ming lit a cigarette, raised his eyebrows, and asked, How long have you known Su Qianxi? 13 years and 5 months. Almost without hesitation, Louis Han blurted out. However, as soon as he said it, he received a dangerous look from Li Xiqing. Louis Han did not even expect that he would remember it so clearly. Obviously, he did not deliberately remember it, but this time seemed to be branded in his heart, and he naturally remembered it. Laughing, Louis Han's lips were full of self-mockery. More than 10 years, still a step behind you. Reaching out and putting his hand on Li Xiqing's shoulder, Louis Han let out a breath. Treat her well. If you are not good to her, I will find you at any time. Li Xiqing indifferently slapped his hand away, with a cold look in his eyes, and slowly said, Rest assured, you will not have this chance. I hope so. The corners of Ming's lips curled up into a devilish smile. This smile contained ridicule and mockery, but it was mostly filled with an indescribable helplessness. Yu Lily, what should I say? He thought that the person she was waiting for, the person she wanted, at least cared about her. However, seeing Louis Han's attitude toward Su Qianxi and Yu Lily, Ming couldn't help but feel sad for Yu Lily. Thinking of that woman, Ming's dark brown eyes were full of sympathy and helplessness. Su Qianxi was led by Cheng Yu and Sunny to a place and found that it was not the wilderness. Going down, it turned out to be a magnificent hotel. The place she was at just now was clearly the top floor of this hotel. Su Qianxi was shocked by the terrain. It turned out that the scene just now was an illusion deliberately made by Li Xiqing. This was actually a resort, and the area was a bit remote. After being taken into the hotel, Su Qianxi entered a suite. There were many people in the suite. Chapter 752. Song Yifan and Rong Xian, they met. Su Qianxi seemed to have seen something terrible and exclaimed, Dad, you. As soon as she said that, Song Yifan and Rong Haiyue looked over at the same time. For a moment, there was only one word floating in the air, awkward. Rong Xian stood in the middle of them, looking a bit embarrassed. She coughed and said, Su Qianxi, go in first. Then, Rong Xian walked toward Su Qianxi and pushed her into the room. Several women entered the room together. Su Qianxi was a bit worried. Will it be okay to leave them outside? Rong Xian was also uncertain. Pursing her lips, she said after a long while, Your dad knows what to do. Su Qianxi frowned and asked, Which dad? Rong Xian was silent for a moment before she said, Both dads. A long time ago, Rong Haiyue knew Song Yifan, but Song Yifan did not know him. This was the first time that Rong Haiyue had looked at Song Yifan face to face. It was very sudden but expected. On such an important day, Su Qianxi's parents could not be absent. Since they were Su Qianxi's parents, of course, Rong Xian, Rong Haiyue, and Song Yifan would be there. Sheng Shiming looked at them, coughed, and said, "You must be Major General Rong. I've heard a lot about you. Nice to meet you." Rong Haiyue just nodded slightly, looked at Song Yifan, and said, "You must be Mr. Song Yifan. Speaking of which, I am one of your listeners. You play the piano very well." "Thank you." Song Yifan smiled like a gentleman. When he was about to say something, the little girl suddenly shouted, "Grandpa, hug." Song Yifan and Rong Haiyue looked down at the same time. Li Jianyue was not far from them, reaching out to Rong Haiyue. The smile on Rong Haiyue's face widened. He squatted down and picked up Li Jianyue, saying, "Where is your brother?" "My brother is inside." Sheng Shiming felt even more embarrassed. He thought that the grandpa the little girl called was Song Yifan. Song Yifan also felt a bit embarrassed and said, "I'm going out to see if there's anything I can do to help." "See you." Rong Haiyue just nodded and watched them leave. His eyes were obscure. The child chose him, but what about Rong Xian's choice? Who could it be? The outdoor wedding at night was held under the starry sky. The MC was a famous local priest in Ireland. At this moment, he stood solemnly and divinely in the most eye-catching spot. His sonorous voice rang out, bringing bursts of excitement to the scene. "Let's welcome the bride." Nervousness, apprehension, excitement. After taking several deep breaths, she took Rong Haiyue's hand and walked out. The wedding. How many weddings could there be in a lifetime? For the first time, she held her so-called uncle's hand and walked into the wedding hall. At that time, he was cold and aloof. Even when he took her hand, his expression was stiff and indifferent. There was not the slightest bit of emotion. But now, she was holding her biological father's hand and walking to her beloved husband's side. Behind them, her son and daughter followed. The guests around her whistled and cheered from time to time. Su Qianxi glanced around and found many acquaintances. Chapter 753. Many familiar faces were looking in his direction. Knowing that with the veil and the light at night, they might not be able to see her clearly, Su Qianxi still couldn't help feeling nervous. Blushing slightly, she lowered her head and was led to the front by Rong Haiyue. This was the first and last time for Rong Haiyue to send his daughter off. He thought that it would be Rong Anna, who he had raised for more than 20 years. But now, it was his own daughter who had been away for more than 20 years. Life was full of emotions for Rong Haiyue. Looking at the excellent son-in-law in front of him, whether it was appearance or ability, Rong Haiyue could not find any fault. If there was anything he regretted, it was that in the past 4 years, when his daughter needed a husband the most, he was not with her. Fortunately, all the effort was worth it. The happiness that belonged to them had finally come. Giving his daughter's hand to Li Xicheng, Rong Haiyue's heart turned into the most emotional hug. Patting Li Xicheng's back, Rong Haiyue suddenly felt a little like crying. He choked and said, "Take good care of her." Li Xicheng gently patted his back and said firmly, "As long as I am alive, I will not let her suffer. Even if I have to wait for 100 years, I will not let her down." A few simple words, but powerful. Su Qianxi heard this and was quite moved. She looked up at him. Li Xicheng seemed to notice her gaze and also looked over. In an instant, their eyes met. They looked at each other, leaving a different kind of affection that could only be understood by each other. The wedding march was getting higher and higher. Led by Song Yifan, the beautiful music flowed into everyone's ears and into everyone's heart. Time passed slowly, and all that was left was beauty. The priest's voice was solemn and sacred, and Su Qianxi's mind went blank. She was nervous, but at the same time, happy. Not knowing how long the priest had been talking, Su Qianxi suddenly heard the priest calling her name. "Miss Su Qianxi, do you want this man to be your husband and marry him? In sickness and in health, or for any other reason, to love him, to care for him, to honor him, to accept him, to be faithful to him till the end of time?" Hearing this question, Su Qianxi chuckled. He had been her husband for a long time. Whether it was his previous life or this life, he could not escape. Whether it was her previous life or this life, she loved him deeply. "I'm willing." Su Qianxi couldn't help blushing. "Mr. Li Xicheng, are you willing to marry this woman to be your wife? In sickness and in health, or for any other reason, to love her, to care for her, to honor her, to accept her, to be faithful to her till the end of time?" Li Xicheng looked at her and said word by word, "I do." The pastor then looked at the audience, stretched out his hands, and asked solemnly, "Are you all willing to testify for their marriage vows?" Cheers erupted from below. The voices of men and women mixed together to form a loud and clear tide. "Yes." Chapter 754. Su Qianxi spread out the ring box in her hand, opened the box, took out the ring, and put it on Li Xicheng's ring finger. Li Xicheng did the same. "Now, I officially announce that you are husband and wife under the witness of love and family. The groom can kiss the bride." Su Qianxi blushed and lowered her head. Li Xicheng lifted her veil, lovingly held her face, and kissed her cheek. At the scene, there was a wave of excitement. Cheers, congratulations, and simple mockery mixed together. Yu Lily felt envious just by hearing it through the phone speaker. What a big deal. Li Xicheng was too concerned about Su Qianxi. What to do? So envious, Yu Lily stayed up late to watch the live broadcast of their wedding. Every picture, every detail, was as exquisite as a century blockbuster. Would Su Qianxi think that she had walked into a Hollywood blockbuster? At 5:30 in the morning, Yu Lily looked at Su Qianxi and Li Xicheng's happy appearance on the phone, envious. In addition to envy, Yu Lily had no other emotions. After the live broadcast, Yu Lily opened the page and scrolled through Weibo. She found that they were all the hot topics. Shocking. The LS Group dog abuse couple returns. Are you ready for dog food? Late-night dog food, LS couple wedding in Ireland, scene comparable to Disney blockbuster, everything every woman longs for, she got, waiting for 4 years, everyone says she's stupid, but she doesn't know she's the biggest winner in life, all kinds of titles, short and concise, just thinking about it was enough to know what happened to them. So envious, Yu Lily chuckled, turned off the phone, and put it aside, but she couldn't fall asleep. At 7:00, she got up on time, washed, and spent 5 yuan on breakfast. After eating, she went to the flower shop at 7:50 and opened for business. All the dreams, all the beauty, would only be on Su Qianxi. She was lucky. And Yu Lily. She deserved it. After the ceremony, other things didn't seem to matter. The people who came to Ireland this time were all good friends and brothers of Li Xicheng, and the rest were all related to Su Qianxi. Except for Grandpa and Lu Sa, everyone else in the family was there. The children were following Li Jinan and Louis Han to get all kinds of red envelopes. Su Qianxi changed into a Chinese-style toast dress. After a round of toasting, she was exhausted. Since they were all acquaintances, Su Qianxi simply went to the hotel. After removing her makeup and taking a shower, she laid on the bed and played with her phone. Seeing so many messages on her phone, she realized that the wedding had been broadcasted live. It should be midnight in Wuxia now. The popularity was higher than any previous one. Su Qianxi went to the list and saw that it was all about her wedding. An inexplicable sense of satisfaction welled up in her heart. Suddenly, she saw a title, Waiting for 4 Years, everyone said she was stupid, but didn't know she was the biggest winner in life. It was a long article, describing Su Qianxi's experience in the past few years and waiting. Su Qianxi felt a bit magical after reading it. In the eyes of outsiders, she was actually this great. She clicked forward happily and attached the words, "Facts have proved that all the waiting is worth it, love." Chapter 755. I'm so busy outside, and you ran away after enjoying yourself. You are so heartless. As he spoke, he had taken off his coat and untied the bow tie around his neck. Su Qianxi put her phone aside and sat cross-legged on the bed in a bathrobe. Looking at him, she said with a smile, "Honey." "Yes?" Li Xicheng looked over and took off his clothes. "Honey." "Yes." "Honey." Li Xicheng did not respond this time. While unbuttoning his cufflinks, he walked over to the bed and looked at her with a pair of deep eyes. Su Qianxi blushed and suddenly covered her face, falling toward the bed. Li Xicheng felt inexplicable, but he was amused by her unknowingly. Jumping forward, he straddled her and whispered, "What are you laughing at?" Su Qianxi took her hand away, blushing and asked, "Am I beautiful?" Hearing this, he felt a little funny and deliberately said, "Not beautiful." Su Qianxi was unhappy. She pouted and kicked him away. "Go away." With a smile in his eyes, Li Xicheng leaned close to her and said in a low voice, "You can make me crazy even if you are not beautiful. If you are a little more beautiful, wouldn't I be in heaven?" Then he leaned over and wanted to kiss her. Su Qianxi's heart was overflowing with honey. However, when he was about to kiss her, she tilted her head and pushed him away, saying, "You smell like alcohol. Go take a shower. Give me a kiss before you go." With that said, he reached out to grab her face. Su Qianxi dodged again and reached out to cover his face. "I won't kiss you if you don't take a shower." "Okay." Li Xicheng was a little reluctant, but he still got up and said, "Okay." Seeing him slowly getting up, Su Qianxi let go of his hand. But unexpectedly, he suddenly pressed down again and kissed her on the face before he got up with satisfaction. Su Qianxi wiped her face with disgust and turned over on the bed with a grunt. But her heart couldn't help but quietly tremble. Suddenly, her phone rang. She took it and saw it was Luo Zhan. Where is Luihan?" "Su Qianxi, I don't know. Maybe in the room. 709, go check it out." Okay." Following the room number, Luo Zhan felt inexplicably nervous. His heartbeat was like thunder, rumbling non-stop. What should he do? He didn't dare to go. But, someone had to make things clear first. He was the one who caused the trouble, so he had to solve it, right? At 7:09, Luo Zhan rang the doorbell and deliberately covered the peephole. Sure enough, the person inside couldn't see outside, so he asked, "Who's there?" It was really Luihan's voice. They hadn't seen each other for a few days, and Luo Zhan actually missed her. "It's me." After a short silence, Luihan opened the door. He looked like he had just taken a shower and was drunk. His hair was half wet and a little messy. Luihan was wearing a bathrobe. After opening the door, he turned around and lay on the bed without a second thought. Luo Zhan naturally walked in and closed the door. "Luihan." "Yes." "Luihan." "What?" Luihan's voice sounded a little impatient, and he took a pillow to cover his face. Luo Zhan was a little hesitant. He walked over and sat on his bed, saying, "When are you going back to China?" Chapter 756. Oh. I see. Luo Zhan suddenly felt that he couldn't find a topic. He was embarrassed, guilty, and nervous. Did Luihan know or not that he had secretly kissed him? Seeing him like this, Luihan sat up, holding a pillow, and asked, do you have something to say to me? No, you always act like this every time you need something from me. Who are you trying to fool? Luo Han kicked him. Say it. Luo Zhan was speechless. Luo Han waited for a moment and found that Luo Zhan still did not speak. He shoved a pillow into his face, then fell on the bed and said, "If you have nothing to say, get out. I am so sleepy." Luo Zhan lowered his eyebrows and said, "My mother wants me to have a girlfriend and introduced me to a girl. She is very beautiful." Luo Han took the pillow away and felt a little strange. Luo Zhan was going to have a girlfriend? If it was a few days ago, Luo Han would have laughed at him. How could a coward like you have a girlfriend? Or, which girl is blind enough to fall for you? But now, Luo Han was stunned and said, "That's good. Don't you like her?" "I like her," Luo Zhan said without hesitation. "So I am moving away. When I go back, I will move to the place where the girl lives." "No way." Luo Han suddenly got up and looked shocked. "How long have you known her? Are you living together?" "No, just temporarily. She knows that I am sharing a room with a man and feels that it is not convenient, so, oh." Luo Han was speechless and felt a little complicated. Girlfriend? Not convenient to share a room with a man? Who was he kidding? Luo Zhan was not the kind of person who would live with someone so easily. But Luo Han did not expose him. After a while, he said again, "Congratulations." Luo Zhan felt a little uncomfortable and turned to look at him. Luo Han looked a little tired. His hands were on the bed behind him, looking a little lazy. "Luo Han, I seem to fall in love with you. I seem to fall in love with a man." Luo Han looked over curiously and was a little confused. Luo Zhan chuckled and lay on his bed, looking at the ceiling, and said slowly, "I seem to be a little reluctant. After all, we have lived together for so long." Inexplicably, there was a kind of sadness of parting. Luo Han felt a little annoyed. He stood up, took the cigarette box next to the bed, and lit one. This was a local specialty of Ireland. Luo Han liked the taste very much, but he could not taste it today, so he was full of annoyance. Luo Zhan saw his strangeness. He stood up, patted himself, and said, "Let's go." Walking slowly to the door, Luo Han followed him and silently sent him out. When Luo Zhan was not far from the door, he suddenly turned around and looked at Luo Han. Luo Han took a drag on his cigarette. His hand had just left his lips. Before he could put it down, he saw Luo Zhan suddenly coming forward. His lips softened, and Luo Han looked at the face in front of him incredulously. His heart seemed to tremble for a moment. He felt an inexplicable sense of panic. Luo Zhan sucked in his mouth and quickly let go. Under Luo Han's shocked gaze, he slowly exhaled the smoke, suppressed the panic in his heart, and casually said, "The smoke is good, but my mouth is not very good. Let's go." With that, he opened the door, stepped out, and closed the door. There was no pause. Chapter 757. Luo Han stood there for a long time, as if he was scared. Even he did not know how long he had been standing there. Looking down, the cigarette ash had fallen to the carpet, and the flame had burned to the butt. After a long time, Luo Han suddenly laughed, angry and sarcastic. Irritated, he walked into the bathroom, threw the cigarette butt into the toilet, and pressed the flush button. The sound of flushing rang. Seeing the cigarette butt being flushed away, Luo Han inexplicably felt a little relieved, as if something bad had been washed away. But thinking of what Luo Zhan had just done, he couldn't help but scratch his head and curse irritably, "Damn it. This is ridiculous." The wedding broadcast was unusually lively, unusually sensational, and unusually dreamy, causing a sensation all over the country. The news, the internet, the big screens in various shopping malls, and the small TVs on buses and subways were all about Su Qianxi and Li Xicheng's wedding. This kind of popularity was comparable to the presidential election ceremony in the United States. A slender and tall figure was sitting at the bar, making a cocktail. Wearing a red sequined fishtail dress, she had a sexy figure and a beautiful and delicate mask on her face, only revealing a small cherry mouth and a pair of beautiful big eyes. The customers who came and went gathered at the bar counter, their eyes staring straight at her. A beautiful woman was concentrating on concocting the wine. There was a smile on her lips. Her hot and beautiful lips were so beautiful that it was intoxicating. She enjoyed the infatuated eyes around her very much. With a wink, Tang Menjing handed out the cocktail and said, "Passionate Desert, which one is it?" "It's mine." A young and handsome man reached out his hand without hesitation. However, he deliberately put his hand forward and held Tang Menjing's exposed wrist, gently stroking it, and whispered, "Do you have a date tonight?" This was the famous masquerade bar in Kingstown, and the fun here was also very exciting. The bartenders here were often changed, because each bartender would be on duty after being carefully trained. With their skilled bartending skills and beautiful appearance, they brought benefits to the bar. On the surface, they were bartenders, but in fact, it was another kind of money and sex trade. The beauty pulled her hand back and pushed him away. She said in a low voice, "Stop fooling around. I'm still working." The young man chuckled and sat in front of her ambiguously. He said, "My passion is like a desert. This cup of passionate desert is for you." The beauty chuckled, "Really?" "Of course." The child smiled frivolously. "Why don't we have an in-depth exchange tonight and let you understand my passion?" "That depends on whether you will let him go or not." The beauty pretended to be in a dilemma. The young master chuckled and shouted, "Old Gao." Old Gao was the owner of this bar and he knew a lot of people. When he saw the young man, his expression suddenly changed. He smiled and walked over. "Young Master Zhao, what's wrong?" "This beauty, I want to take her away tonight. Do you have any objections?" When old Gao heard this, he smiled sensibly. "Of course, little Gua, why aren't you thanking young Master Zhao?" The beauty heard this and nodded, "Thank you, young Master Zhao. What's your name?" "Gua Xiaomei." Chapter 758. When Zhao was talking, he took off a watch and put it on the bar. "Thanks, Gao." Gao took it with a smile. "We are friends. Don't mention it." The beauty glanced at old Gao and then left with young Master Zhao. About half an hour after Zhao and the beauty left, a waiter hurried to Gao and cried, "Boss, Gua Xiaomei is in the changing room." Dead, in a magnificent 5-star hotel, Mr. Zhao led the beauty into a room. As soon as he entered the room, he impatiently pushed the beauty against the wall and kissed her passionately. Young Master Zhao's passion was like fire. He moved his palm and tore the bright red sequined fishtail dress that she was wearing. The beauty also could not wait. She peeled off his clothes and became even more passionate. "You little slut." Zhao laughed and took off his clothes. He reached for the condom on the bed, so impatient. "Are you short of men?" "Not short of men, but men like you." Tang Menjing grabbed his crotch and couldn't wait to open it. "Come on in." Zhao was ready and was not in a hurry to fight. He lifted her chin and said, "Let me see your face." "Don't. Let's finish it first." As she spoke, she kissed young Master Zhao's face and sensibly caressed his face. Taking her hand away, Zhao was also happy to play this mysterious game. As he was getting more and more interested, Zhao held her with one hand and lifted her mask with the other. Under the mask, there was a fire scar the size of half a palm on the right side of her face. On the left side, there were 2 big scars drawn in the shape of an X. The bright red flesh was turned out. Some of it had scabbed, but there was more yellow liquid flowing down. When young Master Zhao saw this face, he was so scared that his whole body trembled. He quickly pulled away and was so scared that his whole body turned over and fell off the bed. Tang Menjing was not satisfied yet. She felt empty and said, "I want more." "Why are you running? Come here." Zhao was even less interested. He picked up his pants and put them on quickly. He turned around and left. Tang Menjing, on the other hand, went up and pulled him back. However, there was a huge difference in strength between a man and a woman. Unable to move him, Tang Menjing stomped her feet and said, "Why do you have to force me? You are so annoying." "Ah!" Young Master Zhao screamed. Seeing the small dagger in his arm, he turned pale with fright. You. Shoo, don't be afraid." Tang Menjing picked up the mask next to her and put it on. "Come on." She pushed young Master Zhao onto the bed. Young Master Zhao was so frightened that he took a few steps back and shouted, "You." Tang Menjing pointed the blood-stained dagger at him and whispered, "Be obedient. If you don't, I will put it in your throat." As she said that, she sat on top of him and helped him into her. She moaned, "Come on." Young Master Zhao was so scared that he was about to cry, he couldn't feel anything at all. He tried saying, "Wait a minute, can I find you a gigolo?" Gigolo? Tang Menjing was wearing a mask and her expression could not be seen. However, her lips curled into a mocking smile and said, "You mean, you don't want to do it with me?" Chapter 759. Gigolo? Tang Menjing's face was covered by a mask, but her lips were curled in a mocking smile. "You mean, you don't want to do it with me?" Before Mr. Zhao could speak, Tang Menjing's hand was already in front of him. Frightened, Mr. Zhao screamed. Mr. Zhao closed his eyes and screamed. Tang Menjing giggled. Her voice was as clear and pleasant as a bell. "Look at you. Don't be scared. Why don't you want to do something so comfortable? Come on, we are all adults. You were excited, weren't you? Just now was just now," but, after looking at her face, he could not bring himself to do it. Tang Menjing noticed his rejection and chuckled, but her eyes were even colder. "Since you don't want to, I have to." Mr. Zhao looked resigned. He turned her over, pressed her on the edge of the bed, tore off her clothes, and closed his eyes. Tang Menjing narrowed her eyes and enjoyed it. Young Master Zhao wanted to cry but no tears came out. If word of this got out, it would be shameful. A man like him was actually raped by a woman. But regardless of her face, the taste of this woman was still very good. After it was over, Mr. Zhao lit a cigarette. For the first time, he felt that a woman's body was so alluring. The water in the bathtub continued to run until it overflowed and dripped on the floor. Tang Menjing sat on Mr. Zhao and suddenly chuckled. She pressed his shoulder and pushed him into the water. Mr. Zhao thought she was joking and did not mind. But suddenly, she pressed his face into the water. Mr. Zhao immediately felt a sense of crisis. When he was struggling to get up, he felt a sharp pain on his neck. In a blink of an eye, the pain pierced through his throat and through every nerve in his body. Mr. Zhao struggled crazily. The pain in his throat became more and more intense as air flowed out. Tang Menjing happily watched the bubbles bubbling up and could not help but laugh out loud. Blood dyed the bathtub and the bathroom red. Even Tang Menjing's body was full of red marks. Young Master Zhao's struggles became weaker and weaker. Finally, he lay in the water, his eyes rolled back. His face was filled with despair for the person above him, and the fear of death. "That's great." Tang Menjing kissed him on the cheek. "You have the same birthday as Li Sicheng. Otherwise, do you think you could sleep with me? If you're done enjoying it, then go die." He stood up and slowly washed his body. Then, he calmly dried his hair and dressed himself. Only then did he calmly walk out of the room. She went downstairs and hailed a taxi. This sexy and hot beauty quickly disappeared into the night. The twins' birthday was today, and preparations had started early in the morning. The old man knew that he didn't have much time left. Whatever he could do for his children and grandchildren, he would do it himself. He picked out cake patterns for Desu and Ursu. Desu liked cheese, and Ursu liked strawberries. The old man simply combined them into one and turned it into a cheese-strawberry cake. When the plane landed, it was already past 2 in the afternoon. The children had woken up on the plane and were in high spirits. They hopped off the plane and cheered as they returned home. Chapter 760. When the plane landed, it was already past 2:00 in the afternoon. The children had woken up on the plane and were in high spirits. They hopped off the plane and cheered as they returned home. The bodyguards came back with their luggage. Li Yao and Qin Shuhua came back with their grandchildren. Before they entered the door, they saw the old man waiting at the door and hurried forward. "Dad, it's so hot outside. Why don't you wait inside?" The old man didn't seem to hear Li Zhao's words. When he saw the children coming back, he was so happy that his face wrinkled and greeted the little babies. "Great-grandfather!" Li Jianxian shouted. "Hello, great-grandfather!" Li Mosen shouted politely. "Hug me, great-grandfather!" Li Jianrui was the most direct and reached out to the old man. The old man's face was full of pity. He picked up Li Jianrui and smiled lovingly. "Did you have fun this time?" "Fun." Li Jianrui happily hugged the old man's neck and said, "Mom became a beautiful bride, so beautiful." "Oh, bride, it's a pity that great-grandfather didn't see it, it's a pity, there's a video." Li Jianxian jumped over, holding a tablet in his hand, and said, "Great-grandfather, I'll show you the video." "Okay." The old man carried Li Jianrui in and sat on the sofa, letting Li Jianxian show him the video. The dreamy and grand scene had far exceeded the old man's imagination. He couldn't help but exclaim, "It's beautiful." "Is the scene so beautiful?" "Yes. The scene is more beautiful than this." Li Jianrui couldn't help but say, looking at the tablet, "There are more beautiful, a lot of fireworks, and there are a lot of stars in the sky. We can't see the kind of stars in Kingstown. So beautiful, so beautiful." The old man couldn't help laughing. He reached out and stroked her little head. He said, "Really, is Ursu happy?" "Happy." Li Jianrui smiled brightly. He, great-grandfather, look, this is Ursu, this is Desu, brother Mosen is here, and the adults say we are so cute and beautiful." The great-grandfather touched the little girl's little head and said with a kind smile, "Our Ursu is the cutest little princess." When Li Jianrui heard the elders say that, she was a little proud. She snorted and looked at her brother. Li Jianxian ignored her and showed the tablet to Captain Li. About halfway through the video, Li Jianrui felt that something was wrong. She looked around and asked, "Brother, where is Brother Mosen?" Without looking up, Li Jianxian said, "Maybe in the room." "Go take a look." "Okay." Li Jianrui nodded and ran into the room with her short legs. As soon as he entered, he found that the room was empty. "Brother Mosen?" Li Jianrui went in, turned around, and shouted, "Brother Mosen." There was no reply. After the little guy circled around, he went out again. Little did she know that Brother Mosen, whom she was looking for, had walked out again. At this moment, by the small lake not far from the Li family's house, two figures, one big and one small, faced each other. Tang Menjing looked at the little guy with white skin and blue eyes, chuckled and asked, "Do you know me?" Li Mosen frowned and looked at the woman who was wearing sunglasses and a hat and was wrapped up tightly. Chapter 761. When Li Mosen heard this, he pouted his lips. Were all liars so unscrupulous nowadays? How stupid would he be if he believed a random person who claimed to be his mother? But he didn't say it out loud. Li Mosen held out his hand to her and said, "Didn't you say that you found my car? Give it back to me. My grandfather gave it to me. It's very important." Tang Menjing looked at the little pink hand that Li Mosen stretched out and smiled even more. She fumbled in her pocket and took out a small blue metal car. She asked, "Are you talking about this?" When Li Mosen saw this, his eyes lit up and he nodded. "Yes. My brother and I packed it ourselves. I thought it was lost. Thank you for picking it up." As he said this, he reached out and was about to take it. Unexpectedly, Tang Menjing took the car back and said, "How can you prove that this thing is yours? I picked it up near this pond. Your name is not written on it." Li Mosen was anxious and pointed to the old house of the Li family not far away and said, "My house is there. I often come here with my brother and sister. I left this here a few days ago and forgot to take it back. Now I remembered it and came to find it. I thought that no one would come here usually. I didn't expect that you would pick it up. Please give it back to me. It's really important to me." "Really? I only know Li Xicheng of this family. Ask him to come and get it from me, and I'll give it to you. Li Xicheng is my father. He hasn't come back yet." Li Mosen pouted and was a little angry. "How can you be like this? I'm a child. I won't lie to you." Tang Menjing's attention was completely on his words. She sneered and said, "Li Xicheng is your father? Did he ask you to call him that?" Li Mosen was a little confused, but for some reason, he felt that Tang Menjing's laughter was a little strange. Taking a step back, Li Mosen looked at her and blinked. Tang Menjing squatted down and looked at Li Mosen. She said, "I'm your mother. Auntie, if you say that again, I'll be angry. My mother hasn't come back yet." Li Mosen looked at her with a serious expression. Wearing a mask, Tang Menjing smiled. "Su Qianxi is not your mother. I am the mother who gave birth to you." Li Mosen was stunned and looked at her. Subconsciously, he thought of the words the children used to tease him when he was in the orphanage. "Monster. Monster. How can anyone have blue eyes? You monster, no wonder your mother wanted to smash you to death when she gave birth to you. How pitiful. The monster can even stare at people. Let's quickly destroy the monster." Looking at the woman in front of him, Li Mosen took a big step back and said in horror, "You liar. Why would I lie to you?" Tang Menjing suddenly felt a sense of revenge. "Are you afraid of me? Why are you afraid of me? Don't tell me you know." Li Mosen's heart raced, and he turned to run. But Tang Menjing was faster. She caught him and said, "Where are you going?" "Mother is here. What do you want to do?" Little Mosen struggled in fear. His little body twisted desperately and shouted, "You are not my mother. My mother hasn't come home yet. My mother's name is Su Qianxi." "Shu, don't lie to yourself anymore." Tang Menjing lowered her eyes and hugged him tightly. "She bewitched, you know she is not your biological mother. You don't fit in with this family. You know that, don't you?" Chapter 762. No, no. His surname was Li, and his name was Li Mosen. Li Mosen struggled with all his might. His heart was filled with panic as he shouted, "Let me go. Grandpa, save me." Tang Menjing smiled, feeling the little guy writhing in her arms, and there was an indescribable satisfaction. Her son was still alive. Who knew where that bastard came from, but he was still alive and well in this world. What a magical feeling. After Su Qianxi and Li Xicheng got off the plane, they did not go back with them, but went to choose birthday gifts for the little guys. After walking around the mall for a long time, Li Xicheng bought a remote control sports car for Daesu and a small train for Ersu. Later, Li Xicheng received a call from Li Jinan, saying that he needed to go to the company for a while and go to his grandpa's favorite cake shop to pick up the cake. Su Qianxi took a taxi home with the gifts. Shu, no one will come to save you. Do you think they really treat you as their child? They just sympathize with you and want to raise you to be a slave. Do you know what a slave is? It's those little eunuchs on TV who clean people's ass and piss. No. Li Mosen cried. They're different from you. What am I? I am your biological mother. I am the only one who treats you the best in the world. Of course not. You want to kill me, you want to kill me. You are a murderer, a psycho. If you run away and come back, you will be caught. Li Mosen had heard a lot about Tang Menjing since he was a child. Qin Shuhua knew a lot of mahjong partners. When they were not playing mahjong, they would talk on the side. Not only did he know, but even Desu and Ursa knew. Li Jianxian once told him, no matter how your mother treats you, in the future, our mother will be your mother, our father will be your father, and Mosen will always be our brother. At that time, Mosen was moved to tears, and his resentment and hatred for Tang Menjing were even more fermented in his heart. Hearing that, Tang Menjing smiled even more happily and said, "It seems that Su Qianxi has taught you well. You are quite smart, but silly child, you have been misled." "I am, Brother Mosen." A childish voice came from afar. Li Jianyue was wearing a white dreamy princess dress with 2 small braids on her head. She ran over with her short legs. But when she saw Tang Menjing, she slowly stopped and opened her big round eyes. Feeling a little strange, she shouted, "Brother Mosen, Grandpa is asking you to come in." Mosen was held by Tang Menjing. With tears on his face, he shouted at Li Jianyue and said, "Ursu, go find Grandpa and Great-Grandpa to save me." When Li Jianyue heard this, she felt that something had happened. He turned around and ran. Tang Menjing was shocked. She picked Li Mosen up with one hand and ran in the direction of Li Jianyue. The old house was a few hundred meters away from the pond, which was a road away. The little guy's legs were short and the distance was short. Tang Menjing soon caught up with her. Li Jianyue flailed her hands and feet and shouted, "Help! Help! Brother! Grandpa! Great-Grandpa! Oh!" Chapter 763. This little girl had inherited Su Qianxi's voice. Her voice was sharp and thin, which was really disgusting. From afar, a taxi drove over. Su Qianxi looked out of the window in boredom and saw her daughter running home with her short legs. Curling her lips, Su Qianxi shouted, "Stop the car. My daughter is down there." However, then Su Qianxi's expression changed. A figure covered from head to toe, holding a child in her hand, rushed toward Li Jianyue. "Help, help!" Su Qianxi's expression changed drastically. She opened the door and rushed out. Seeing the car behind her, Tang Menjing pulled the little girl in her arms into the car and threw her into the water. Li Mosen was shocked and screamed, "Ursu!" Plop! The sound of falling into the water was like the cork in her heart being pulled out. Su Qianxi exclaimed, "Ursu!" Li Jianyue fell into the middle of the pond and choked on the water. Her hands and feet struggled and shouted, "Ah!" However, before she could even shout a complete word, her little body had already sunk. The water here was very, very deep. It was so deep that even Su Qianxi, an adult woman, could not stand in the water and drowned. Almost instinctively, Su Qianxi did not hesitate to throw away all the things in her hands and jumped into the water. Seeing this, Tang Menjing laughed and said, "Go to hell, all go to hell." The taxi driver looked at this side incredulously. At the moment when Tang Menjing looked over, he slammed on the brakes and left this place. Hiding in the distance, he picked up the phone and dialed 110. Su Qianxi's body jumped in the water. Looking at her daughter, she reached out and grabbed her. Her body struggled to swim, and soon her daughter was lifted to the shore. Li Jianyue went ashore and coughed a few times. Then she was scared and burst into tears, holding Su Qianxi's neck with her short hands. "Mommy." The little guy was really scared. His whole body was drenched in sweat. The originally beautiful puffy skirt was all stuck to her body. Su Qianxi patted her back and ears distressed. After checking that the little girl was safe and sound, she breathed a sigh of relief. The sun was a little big today, and there was no wind. Fortunately, Su Qianxi was a little far from where Tang Menjing was. After comforting Li Jianyue, Su Qianxi looked in the direction of Tang Menjing with some fear. Tang Menjing held Li Mosen with one hand, a pair of eyes faintly looking over here, and sneered, "You can actually swim?" Su Qianxi was shocked. Holding her daughter, she whispered, "Go home first, call Grandpa out, and run away. Do you hear me?" The little girl heard her mother's words, but her mind did not quite understand what her mother meant. "Li Jianyue, Mom, go home, and call Grandpa and Uncle." Qianxi's mom. Tang Menjing was already walking over. Su Qianxi was alarmed. Pushing her daughter, she yelled, "Run!" Li Jianyue cried as she ran in the direction of her home. Her hair and dress were still dripping with water. The little girl, Qiu Li to little girl. Li 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 Qiu Li. Chapter 764. Tang Menjing was caught off guard. Her eyes widened, she punched Su Qianxi's back hard. Su Qianxi gritted her teeth and almost put all her weight on Tang Menjing, pushing Tang Menjing to the ground. Tang Menjing's expression changed dramatically. She took out a spring dagger from her pocket and pressed it down. The blade popped out and cut Su Qianxi's arm. Su Qianxi exclaimed and subconsciously took her hand back. Tang Menjing took the opportunity and stabbed the dagger into her shoulder blade. Su Qianxi's eyes widened and subconsciously reached out to grab it. Her palm was cut by the dagger. Gritting her teeth, Su Qianxi twisted her hand. In a flash, the blade was stabbed in the direction of Li Mosen. Su Qianxi's face turned pale and she held Tang Menjing's hand tightly. Li Mosen was not stupid. He struggled crazily and bit Tang Menjing's exposed arm. Tang Menjing was in pain, but she grinned and leaned back. She lifted her foot and kicked Su Qianxi hard. Then she turned over and pinned Su Qianxi down with one leg. However, Li Mosen, who was in her arms, was being hugged tighter and tighter. His little face turned red, and he panted hard. He shouted uncomfortably, "Mom, go." Tang Menjing heard the word "Mom" and was shocked. In a flash, tears gathered in her eyes and were about to fall. Mom, the child she gave birth to, was calling the person she hated the most, Mom. Why? This woman even dared to take her son away from her. Bitch! Tang Menjing's tears fell and she kicked Su Qianxi hard. Just behind Su Qianxi was a slope. Su Qianxi was kicked and rolled to the edge of the lake. Why? Why? Tang Menjing put the dagger against Li Mosen's neck. You have taken everything from me. Su Qianxi, you bitch. Why? Why do you have all this? What right do you have? Tang Menjing shouted hysterically, why can you destroy everything I have? My man, my family, and now you even want to take my child away from me. Why? As she screamed, Tang Menjing took off her mask and hat, revealing her hideous face. Su Qianxi was shocked and covered her mouth in disbelief. Tang Menjing's face and the big fire scar on the right side of her face were exactly what she had in her previous life. It was a complete replica of her scarred face from her previous life. However, there was no hideous X on her face. That X was still losing juice, making anyone who looked at it feel nauseous. Su Qianxi looked at Tang Menjing's face incredulously. Su Qianxi, how can you do this? Do you know how many things you have stolen from me? Tang Menjing's smile was a bit morbid. Combined with this face, Su Qianxi actually felt creepy in broad daylight. Suddenly, there was the sound of a police car. Su Qianxi looked over, and Tang Menjing also looked over, chuckling. You're here. You're really capable. Tang Menjing pointed the dagger at the little guy's neck. Tell me, I have already killed 8 people. If I kill another child, will I be sentenced to death by 1,000 cuts? The police cars on both sides of the road flanked them. Soon, 2 long rows of police cars came down. Chapter 765. Who are you calling mom? I am your mom. Tang Menjing suddenly hugged him and shook him hard, almost crazy, shouting, Call me mom, call me mom. Suddenly there was the sound of a gun being loaded. Tang Menjing suddenly looked up and yelled, Don't come over. If you come over, I will kill him. With that, she pushed the dagger forward, and the dagger pierced into Mosen's neck. Bright red blood quickly flowed out. Li Mosen sobbed, but he was so scared that he didn't dare to move. Tang Menjing, Tang Qing. A police officer shouted, Don't be so stubborn. You have killed so many people. Don't you even let go of a child? Tang Menjing heard that and sneered disdainfully. Child? This is my son. I can kill him if I want. It's none of your business. Su Qianxi cautiously approached and said in a trembling voice, Tang Menjing, he is your son. Have you forgotten? You also wrote a mother's diary for him. You love him, don't you? Su Qianxi, how can you be so naive? If he is Li Xicheng's child, of course I love him, but who is the father of this little b*tch? Tang Menjing laughed and pushed the dagger deeper and deeper. I didn't want this little b*starred. I wanted to kill him the moment he was born. It was you. Why did you save him? Why did you meddle in my business? Did she really think that she was the Virgin Mary or Queen Mother of the West? Are you shameless? Didn't you do this just to make me look better? To show how perverted and vicious I am? Now, it has come true, hasn't it? Everything is going according to what you want. Are you happy? Su Qianxi looked at her and suddenly felt a little unreasonable, but at the same time, she also felt very complicated. Once upon a time, she had questioned Tang Menjing like this. At that time, Tang Menjing was glorious. As Mrs. Li in the eyes of outsiders, she enjoyed everything she should have, while Su Qianxi was like a stray dog, living in this home with her tail between her legs. One day, she finally couldn't stand it anymore. She asked her out and had a big fight, questioning her. Every word was filled with hatred that had been suppressed in her heart for a long time. However, at that time, Tang Menjing was silent for every question and sentence. Then, she looked behind her. When she turned around, she found that he had been standing behind her the whole time. He could hear every word clearly. At that time, she felt as if she had fallen into an icehouse. Tang Menjing was still famous, but she did not dare to show up in front of Li Xicheng anymore. Unexpectedly, the tables had turned. After being reborn, he saw all the tragedies that should have been his in his previous life. Was he rejoicing or sorrowful? Tang Menjing looked at Su Qianxi and sneered. Suddenly, there was a gunshot. Tang Menjing's body suddenly stiffened and she loosened her grip. Li Mosen fell to the ground and screamed, but then he quickly got up from the ground and ran in the direction of Su Qianxi, shouting, Mom. Li Mosen held Su Qianxi's legs and found that she was still looking at Tang Menjing. Chapter 766. Everyone's gaze was focused on the place where the gunshot had just sounded. In that place, an old man over 70 years old was standing in a standard military posture, holding an air gun in his hand. He was tall and straight like a pine tree. He had short white hair and a straight back, like a pine tree that had stood for 100 years, vigorous and straight. At this moment, he was holding the air gun with both hands, looking straight ahead. His eyes were full of indifference and decisiveness. Seeing Captain Li, the crowd cheered. No one expected that the person who fired the gun was this man. Tang Menjing's chest was bleeding, but at this moment, she did not have time to look at Captain Li. Instead, she turned her head to the side and looked at Su Qianxi. Just in front of Su Qianxi, there was a cute little guy with a pair of beautiful blue eyes on his pink cheeks. At this moment, this pair of eyes, like the blue sea, was filled with deep hatred. Such hatred was like a long thorny whip, ruthlessly whipping the softest part of Tang Menjing's heart. That shot shattered the armor that she had worked so hard to build over the years and the lies that she had deceived herself over the years. Seeing the clear hatred on the little face, Tang Menjing's vision became more and more blurred, and her mind became more and more muddled. However, the images that had been flashing in her mind for the past 4 years became clearer and clearer. Baby, this is the 14th week since God sent you to me. Although your father is not willing to admit your existence, I love you and look forward to your arrival. Love your mother. Baby, today I was suspected by everyone again. Everyone thinks that you are not your father's child, but only I know that you are the child of the Li family, the flesh and blood of the Li family. Sooner or later, I will take you back to the Li family and become a legitimate child of the Li family. Love your mother. Baby, today I took a lie detector test. Sorry, the expert said that there may be radiation to the fetus, but I still did it without hesitation. I want your father to recognize me and you, and drive the bad woman away. Love your mother. Once upon a time, she had also looked forward to and desired this child. This child was the only hope that she relied on to survive in the most desperate time. Once upon a time, she had also been happy, and proud. That proud peacock that was once envied by everyone had now been stripped of all its feathers. It was bare and embarrassed in front of everyone's eyes. Therefore, she was resentful, she hated, she was hysterical. At that time, he had just turned 1 month old. She lifted him high above her head and smashed him onto the ground. Seeing him crying so hard that his whole body was blue and purple, she laughed like a madwoman. Bastard! Bastard! Where did this bastard come from? Ha ha ha, how can this kind of thing live in this world? That's right, how could such a thing live in this world? Tang Menjing's eyes were blurred, and a bright smile appeared on her face. Suddenly, a tall figure broke into Tang Menjing's blurred vision. She tried to look at him, but all she could see was a pair of eyes that she once thought were the most beautiful in the world. It was cold, apathetic, and cold. She had rushed over from afar and lived her lowly life. His thin body fell heavily onto the ground. Blood dyed the grass red. A breeze passed by, bringing with it a little fishy smell, but it soon disappeared. Chapter 767. Tang Menjing's death ignited public opinion. For a time, the whole country was discussing Tang Menjing's fate. In just 2 months, she killed 8 people. 3 of them were in remote villages without surveillance, 2 were in small towns with inconvenient transportation, and 3 were from Kingstown. Because the crime was serious and the situation was critical, Captain Li shot the culprit, and the police did not pursue his legal responsibility. However, Tang Menjing's tragic death also made Mrs. Tang, who was far away in the Kingstown AIDS Isolation Center, unable to accept it on the spot. In addition, after a long period of depression, she jumped into the bathtub and committed suicide. Tang Menjing became a complete orphan in debt. When the police investigated, they found that she had disappeared more than a year ago. There was no trace of her in the whole country, as if she had disappeared into thin air. The tragedy of the Tang family was on various legal news, and even Weibo was a hot topic for several days. The National Day holiday was not over, and Rong Anna and Bo Xiao did not wait for the so-called partner, but they had almost squandered all their money. When Bo Xiao went out to the bar, Rong Anna took out the bank card that Rong Rui gave her and quietly walked to a nearby ATM. Cheng Yu was holding the baby and feeding, and Rong Rui was eating slowly. The TV was broadcasting the Tang family's morbid tragedy. While watching, she did not forget to look at Rong Rui and asked, "Do you have any thoughts about this situation?" Rong Rui took a sip of the soup and saw her suspicious and uncertain eyes. He frowned and put down the bowl. "It's a little weak, but fortunately, it has been boiled for a long time. I can still drink it. Pay attention next time." Cheng Yu rolled her eyes. "Who asked you about the soup? I mean, do you have any thoughts about the Tang family now?" Rong Rui picked up a piece of chestnut with his chopsticks. Without looking up, he said, "What thoughts can I have? They deserve to die. What about Tang Menjiang? She killed 8 people and almost killed her own child. What's the point of living for such a person?" Rong Rui put down his chopsticks and looked at her as he chewed. "No matter what her reasons are, even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. This woman has stabbed Mosen in the neck. If it weren't for old Master Li, do you think this little guy would still be alive?" The answer was yes. She looked at him suspiciously, raised her eyebrows and asked, "Do you really think so?" "What else?" Rong Rui was a little helpless. "Don't mess around. I was blind to fall for that kind of woman. When I decided to be with you, I cut off all ties with her. Was it that year, in the hospital?" She looked down, holding the baby and feeding. Thinking of the scene in the hospital that night, she still felt a little uncomfortable. "I told you, I will take responsibility. You don't have to worry. I didn't feel anything for you at that time. I forgot." Rong Rui got himself another bowl of soup. Hearing this, he raised his eyebrows and nodded. "I see. Why do I remember that you were quite angry when you were in the hospital? You even kicked me. It was so painful." She stared, grabbed the small toy around her, and threw it at him. Rong Rui took it, smiled, and was about to say something when the phone in his hand suddenly vibrated. It was a text message. "Kingstown Bank, you have withdrawn 20,000 yuan from the ATM, the balance is..." An obscure look flashed across his amber eyes. Chapter 768. He finished the soup in the bowl and then got up. "I'm going out." "Where are you going?" "I have something to do. I'll be back in a minute." He walked past Cheng Yu, lifted her chin, and kissed her on the cheek. She looked disgusted, wiped her face, and said, "Did you wipe your mouth? It's disgusting." He chuckled, waved his hand, picked up the car key, and walked out. Driving all the way to the local police station, he parked the car, hesitated, and stepped in. When Rong Anna returned to the inn, Bo Xiao had not returned yet. She breathed a sigh of relief and subconsciously reached out to touch her flat belly. After taking a shower, when she came out again, Bo Xiao was already sitting on the stool at the head of the bed. Holding the money in his hand, he looked at Rong Anna. Rong Anna wiped her hair, and her heart skipped a beat. She quickly looked away and asked, "Did you meet Brother Hu?" Bo Xiao did not answer this question directly, but held the money in his hand. With a pair of sharp eyes, he asked, "Anna, where did this money come from?" Rong Anna's eyes flickered, and she said, "My brother gave me the card." Bo Xiao was amused by her and said, "Oh, my Anna, do you know what you are doing? Do you think your cousin can be trusted? Didn't we agree to take the money when we are going to leave? When the time comes, we can frame Brother Hu, and then we can retreat and go far away. Why are you so disobedient?" Rong Anna couldn't help but tear up. Wiping her hair, she whispered, "My cousin is not someone else. Although he is a little useless, he is really a good person. He will not betray me. My silly Anna, you are not his cousin, don't you know? With that, Bo Xiao's voice also slowed down, and he whispered, we are now carrying people's lives, stolen goods, and our hands are stained with blood. Why do you think that he will not betray us? No matter what, there should be no problem in the middle of the night. Let's go first. When brother Hu arrives tomorrow, we will get the money and leave. Rong Anna nodded, watching him pack up, and her heart was in a mess. Just when Bo Xiao put all the suitcases up, Rong Anna stepped forward and hugged him from behind. Bo Xiao froze for a moment before turning around to look at Zhang Xian. Rong Anna hugged him, and her hands tightened. Bo Xiao looked down at her and reached out to hold her hands. He asked in a low voice, what's wrong? Xiao, Rong Anna's eyes were a little red. Why did we become like this? We were supposed to be happy for the rest of our lives under the blessings of our parents and the watchful eyes of our friends. Why did we become like this? An endless escape, a dark future. Xiao, I really don't want it to be like this. Bo Xiao put his palm on the back of Rong Anna's hand, sighed softly, and whispered, I don't want to be like this. Who wants to live a good life? But have you ever thought that if we didn't do this, the Bo group would have gone bankrupt a long time ago? Your parents wouldn't have agreed to our engagement, and my parents wouldn't have been able to survive in the capital. We don't want this to happen, but we have to live, don't we? Rong Anna hugged Bo Xiao tightly and did not speak, crying silently behind him. Bo Xiao also fell silent. He stood where he was, feeling complicated. Chapter 769. Xiao, I'm pregnant. Her soft voice was choked with sobs. Bo Xiao's body stiffened, and then there was an overwhelming surprise. Turning around, Bo Xiao's face was full of surprise. He clasped Rong Anna's shoulders with his hands, and his face was full of uncontrollable joy. Really? Anna, am I going to be a father? Rong Anna looked at him, chuckled, and nodded. Bo Xiao laughed happily and held Rong Anna in his arms. Great! My Anna, my child, God, Anna, I'm so happy. He bowed his head, held her face, and kissed her hard. Anna, I feel so happy. I'm going to be a father, we're going to be parents. Rong Anna saw Bo Xiao's appearance, and the smile on her face widened, but in a moment, her tears rolled down again. She said, Xiao, let's turn ourselves in, okay? Let's give birth to the child, and then. Are you crazy, Anna? Bo Xiao looked at her incredulously. Turn ourselves in? We're going to jail, and maybe even the death penalty. Rong Anna looked at Bo Xiao and didn't know what to say for a while. Bo Xiao grabbed her shoulders with both hands and looked serious. Anna, we'll be sentenced to death. You're pregnant, and the Supreme Court will sentence you to life imprisonment. Why don't we try? Why do we have to live like this? Xiao, Shu, Anna, listen to me. Bo Xiao looked at her with a pair of eyes, and Rong Anna couldn't understand the complex emotions in them. He grabbed her shoulders and whispered, we have to live, and live proudly. If we can't live in China, then we'll go abroad, Myanmar, Brunei, and even Vietnam. We can go there. Be obedient, okay? Rong Anna's mouth twitched, and she cried out, now that we're like this, what pride is there to speak of? Yes. Bo Xiao looked at her and said slowly, with you, I have pride. With you, I can live. Let's live together, and be proud together, okay? Take our children, take our flesh and blood, and live proudly together, okay? Rong Anna looked at him, and the sadness in her heart overflowed. However, seeing his almost pleading face, she finally nodded and lowered her eyes. Okay. There was only one day left before the National Day holiday. Tomorrow was the day to go to work. Yu Lily helped Sister Qin at the flower shop until 9 o'clock in the evening. However, just as she was about to take the bus home, someone stopped her. Little Yu. It was a familiar voice. Yu Lily turned her head and saw Mr. Li sitting in the car, looking at her with a bright smile, waving to her and saying, "Come here." Manager Li's car was parked not far away. It was a new BMW. It looked brand new and very beautiful. Yu Lily was so tired that her body was sore. When she saw Mr. Li, she walked over with her bag. As soon as she got closer, she smelled alcohol. Yu Lily smiled and said, "Mr. Li, what a coincidence." "Yeah. I just finished drinking with a client and happened to pass by here, so I came to take a look. I didn't expect you to still be here. Let's go. I'll send you back." Manager Li pointed to the front passenger seat and said enthusiastically. Yu Lily felt that it was a little strange. She said awkwardly, "It's not good for you to drive after drinking, right?" Chapter 770. Well, that's not a good idea. How about I call a designated driver for Mr. Li? There is a 5-star hotel next to here, and there should be a lot of designated drivers. Yu Lily looked at the 5-star hotel next to her. That's boring. It's normal not to drive after drinking, but I can drive. I let you drive because I trust you. Aren't you looking down on me by asking me to find a designated driver? Mr. Li's face darkened. Yu Lily felt a little embarrassed and said, "Mr. Li, you're too serious. I'm just kind enough to call a designated driver for you. If you don't think it's appropriate, then don't call one." Hearing that, Mr. Li's face softened a little. He unfastened his seatbelt, opened the door, and said, "Come on, try it. If I'm found drunk driving, it will be very troublesome. Generally, they won't check the driver's license. A girl driving is safer than a drunk driving. Come on." As he said that, he had already sat in the passenger seat. Yu Lily was a little distressed and scratched her head. It doesn't feel right to drive in the middle of the night. Let's not talk about whether I have a driver's license. Even if I have a driver's license, should I drive my boss's car home in the middle of the night? Hurry up, you. You are usually very straightforward. Why are you so slow now? Yu Lily hesitated for a moment, then opened the door and sat in. After a busy day, Yu Lily's legs hurt from standing. As soon as she sat down, she felt very comfortable. She started the car and slowly drove out. She asked, "Where is your home?" "I'll take you back first." "Why are you going to my house?" "I already said that I'll send you back." "Aren't you complaining that I'm drunk?" "You're afraid that it's dangerous for me to drive drunk, so I'll let you drive." Director Li yawned and lay back on the chair. "When you go back, I'll go back by myself. That's not very convenient. If you're found drunk driving, your driver's license will be revoked. Don't worry so much. Go back first." Mr. Li was a little impatient. Yu Lily didn't say much. She closed her mouth and soon drove to the community where she lived. However, when he was almost there, he heard a moan from the person next to him. Then, Mr. Li stretched out a hand and touched the bottom of Yu Lily. Yu Lily was shocked. She slammed on the brakes and shouted, "What are you doing?" Mr. Li seemed to be frightened and said, "I'm taking something. My bag is below." Yu Lily stared at him and asked, "Where?" "Down there, under your feet." She breathed a sigh of relief and bent down to touch it. However, before he could touch it, he felt a big fat hand grabbing his shoulder. Yu Lily shivered, and her hair stood on end. She turned her head angrily and said, "Mr. Li, I'm taking it." Mr. Li didn't have the same expression as before. Instead, he looked at her with a strange expression and said, "There's no hurry. Take your time. But I think it's too late today. Shall we go to your place for tea?" "I don't have tea at home. I'm almost there. I'll get off here." "Mr. Li, you should go back early. Good night." Yu Lily resisted and pushed his hand away. She used the other hand to open the door of the driver's seat. But she was stopped by Mr. Li's fat hand. Don't pretend. You're in my car. Isn't it because you want to follow me? Dash. Chapter 771. Yu Lily reflexively pushed him back and shouted, "Please show some respect." At the same time, Yu Lily had opened the door and got out of the car in horror. However, Mr. Li's hand pulled her in again. His fat hand unscrupulously approached her, and the other hand closed the door. Then, he fell toward her. Yu Lily screamed, pushed him with both hands, and shouted angrily, "Bastard, get out of here. Is this how you talk to your boss?" Although Mr. Li said so, his voice was full of excitement. "Why are you pretending to be a chaste woman? She was still a kept whore. I have promoted you, and you still pretend. Is it not enough? I will give you a raise." While talking, his mouth smelled of alcohol. Yu Lily's stomach rolled, and she felt nauseous for no reason. Almost at the same time, she recalled that unrestrained and evil face in her mind. His beautiful peach eyes seemed to be looking at her with a smile. "Get out! Get out!" Yu Lily's eyes immediately turned red, and she used all her strength to push him away. At the same time, her legs also kicked hard. Suddenly, the front of the car made a loud noise. Bang! Yu Lily and Mr. Li leaned forward at the same time. Because he did not fasten his seatbelt, Mr. Li's body was thrown to the back. At the same time, the sound of broken glass mixed with the sound of the car alarm sounded. The sharp broken glass sprayed from the front, and Yu Lily's eyes were wide open in horror. The glass fragments sprayed on Mr. Li's body. Bright red blood flowed from his forehead to his closed eyes, and he was motionless. Mr. Li, dead? Yu Lily's mind was blank, and she was surrounded by the sound of horns, sirens, and inquiries. Everything was like a dream. When she opened her eyes again, Yu Lily was lying in the hospital. There were police, doctors, and nurses next to her. Seeing Yu Lily wake up, the doctor checked and confirmed that she was fine, and the police immediately came to ask. "Ms. Yu Lily, right?" Yu Lily was inexplicably panicked, and her heart was beating fast. She nodded. The police looked at her, looked down at a book, and asked, "Who else is in the family?" "No, I am an orphan." "What grudge do you have with Lida?" "In this car accident, Lida's wife wants to sue you for attempted murder." "What was the situation like at the time? Please explain." "Intentional murder?" Yu Lily stared at him with her eyes wide open. After making sure that he was not joking, she suddenly felt that it was ridiculous. "It was him who wanted to molest me. He pretended to send me home and lied to me that I couldn't drink and drive. After that, he tried to molest me in the car. I stepped on the accelerator in desperation, and the car suddenly rushed out." "But you don't have a license. You're driving without a license. Do you know that? He wants me to open it. If I don't, he'll say that I'm not giving him face." Yu Lily looked at the policeman and said, "I just got promoted, and I haven't officially started working yet. Why would I deliberately murder him?" The policeman glanced at her and then lowered his head to record, "I heard that you are not on good terms with Lida's aunt." "Yes." Yu Lily's eyes lit up. "Su Jing, Lida fired her and replaced me. It must be because of this that his wife wronged me. After all, they are cousins." Chapter 772. Yu Lily's voice paused, but she quickly sorted out her thoughts and told the truth. The policeman nodded and said, "Okay, I got it. We will thoroughly investigate this matter, but because the accident was caused by you, Lida's wife asks you to compensate for the maintenance cost of the two cars, as well as Lida's medical expenses and mental damage. After Lida wakes up, we will check the situation." "What?" Yu Lily was stunned. She wants me to compensate? Of course, the accident was caused by you. The other car was parked there, but you hit it. The maintenance cost of the two cars and the medical expenses will add up to at least 300,000 or 400,000 yuan. You should be prepared. But I did it in self-defense. Yu Lily's face was pale. 300,000 or 400,000 yuan. Where can I find so much money? Now, I am so poor that I can't even afford to eat. How can I have so much money? This situation needs to be checked, and we will discuss it when Lida wakes up. You are fine, just fainted. Lida's left hand is fractured and he has a concussion. If he wakes up, thank God. If they don't pursue it, you can just pay some money. If he doesn't wake up, I am afraid you will go to jail. The policeman closed the book. Think about what to do. The loss must be compensated. I will go to Lida's place. Yu Lily's whole body seemed to be drained of strength. She sat on the bed with a pale face. An aunt in the ward looked at her sympathetically and said, "Girl, are you okay?" Yu Lily looked up, her eyes were hot, and she was flustered. 300,000 or 400,000 yuan, if I can't get it, will I go to jail? Lifting the quilt, Yu Lily got out of bed and walked out quickly. After asking around, she found Mr. Li's ward and went out. Mr. Li lived in a high-end single ward, and the price of this ward alone was not what Yu Lily could afford. With a pale face, Yu Lily knocked on the door and went in. Lida had woken up. When he saw her come in, he looked angry. Lida's wife turned her head and looked at her. She strode forward and slapped Yu Lily's face without saying anything. Yu Lily's pupils shrank. She stepped back and blocked it with her backhand. Mrs. Li slapped the back of her hand with a sharp, clear sound. The policeman was making a statement. Seeing this scene, he quickly came forward and stood between them. Be quiet, the policeman is still here. Mrs. Li snorted coldly and sneered, I beat up a vixen who seduced my husband, and the police can't do anything about it. This kind of little hussy has the face of a vixen, and I heard that she was a mistress. Mr. Police, don't you want to check if she has done any abnormal transactions? Yu Lily was very angry, but at this time, she became calmer and sneered, I was wondering why Mr. Li likes to flirt with little girls in the company. It turns out that Mrs. Li is like this. Yes, no man wants to face a woman who looks older than himself. If you didn't call Lida your husband, would really think that you are his nanny or sister or something like that. Mrs. Li's face turned darker and darker. She shouted, Hey! Chapter 773. Mrs. Li's face was red with anger. She rushed forward with great strength, stretched out her hand and shouted, Little bitch. But before she could get close to see the goods, she was stopped by the policeman. The policeman looked distressed and shouted angrily, Can you be quiet? Yu Lily smiled more brightly, raised her eyebrows and said, What? Can't accept the fact. Your family must be very rich, otherwise, which man can stand this kind of appearance? It will be ugly if he urinates in the middle of the night. Shut up, bitch. Mrs. Li was furious and was about to rush toward her. The police became impatient and roared, Enough. If you continue like this, all of you will go back to the police station with me. Lida was lying in the hospital bed, and his face was not very good. At the same time, when he saw Yu Lily's fierce appearance, he couldn't help but start to feel hot in his heart. If he could get such a woman in bed, wouldn't it be great? Thinking of this, Lida's eyes had become a little more hot, and he said, You, don't be so fierce, the policeman is still here. Hearing that, Yu Lily looked at Mr. Li on the bed and said coldly, Mr. Li, I have always respected you. I thought this promotion was because you valued my work ability. I didn't expect you to have such an idea. If you want to do something in the future, it will be better to say it directly. Why do you have to beat around the bush? I'm sorry, I quit. Mr. Li looked at Yu Lily. Hearing such disrespectful words, Li Da's face was also hot. In the face of his wife's questioning and threatening eyes, Li Da's face sank and said, You have to speak with conscience. How I usually treat you, everyone in the company can see. I promoted you because of your ability. Is there any other reason? As for you, what hatred do I have with you that you have to hit me like this? But for the sake of our acquaintance, I will not sue you. Let's settle it privately. The policeman should have told you, just pay a little money and let it go. Then, he thought of something and said, I have informed the personnel department to fire you. In the future, you are no longer my employee, and the position of supervisor is completely out of your reach. If you leave my company, you see who can put you in an important position. Ha! Yu Lily felt a little funny. Mr. Li, are you still pretending? There is a camera at the entrance of our community. The police can check the surveillance and find out what happened. I was acting in self-defense. You forced me to drive the car. You reap what you sow, and I have no reason to compensate you. Besides, the capital is so big, and your company is not necessarily good. I have long wanted to leave your small temple. I was the one who asked to resign first, have you forgotten? Li Da's face became uglier and he said, No matter what, you are no longer my employee, but it is a fact that you have caused this series of losses. If you don't compensate, I can only let the law punish you. Xiao Yu, it's not easy for everyone. Presumably you don't want to go to jail, right? Yu Lily's eyes flashed. She looked at the policeman and asked in a deep voice, Mr. Policeman, he molested me first. Please check the surveillance footage and you will see it. Chapter 774. Yu Lily took one last look at Li Da and turned to follow the police out of the ward. When she arrived at the police station and checked the surveillance, she found that a large truck was parked in front of the surveillance camera, and only the roof of Li Da's car could be seen. Surveillance blind spot. There was not a single piece of evidence that could prove her innocence. Yu Lily felt like falling into an ice cellar. Looking at the picture, her eyes became redder and redder. Looking at the police opposite, she suddenly stood up and asked, What about other surveillance cameras? It's impossible to have only one surveillance camera at the entrance of such a large community, right? Another angle of surveillance, just in the lower right corner. Didn't you see it? Another angle was the rear of the car. Yu Lily's face became paler and paler. Sitting in the chair, she felt cold all over. Master O, there seems to be news from the capital about Miss Yu. O Ming was busy dealing with documents. Hearing this, he paused and didn't look up. Say it. The assistant deliberated over his choice of words before telling the whole story in full detail. After that, he felt a little sorry and asked, Do you want to help her? Are you familiar with her? O Ming didn't look up, threw the signed documents aside, and squinted at him. If you are familiar with her, then you can help her. I don't care. The assistant immediately shut up, bowed his head and said nothing. Not familiar? Anyway, she used to be a woman. Master O is too cruel. However, since Master O said so, he had no reason to be nosy. Taking the signed documents, the assistant looked at O Ming and said, Then, I'll go out first. O Ming still looked at the documents on the desk and waved his hand. After the assistant went out, O Ming looked up from the pile of documents. His dark brown pupils were obscure. In his shimmering peach blossom eyes, there seemed to be a title page that had been sealed for a long time being opened. Is Yu Lily at her wit's end? His eyes fell on the mobile phone on the desk, and his eyes became darker. I haven't changed my number. She should, remember it, right? Yu Lily didn't know how she got home. Lying on the bed, her mind was blank. She looked at the wall in front of the bed, which was filled with photos. O Ming was sitting, standing, smiling, cold, hugging her, kissing her. Every scene was so beautiful that she had been looking forward to it for 4 years. But she didn't dare to turn around and look for him again. No one knew better than her what kind of person Oh Ming was. He would never let her go. Scram. Be smart and don't appear in Kingstown in the future. Otherwise, I will find someone to kill you. B*TCH. Yu Lily's throat choked. She opened her mouth to take a breath, but her tears fell. It was said that when a person was in the most desperate situation, the first person they would think of was the person they relied on the most. This sentence was indeed true. However, this kind of dependence could no longer go back. Even Yu Lily didn't know when she fell asleep. When she woke up, it was already past 10 o'clock the next morning. Looking at the time displayed on the phone, Yu Lily suddenly stood up. Her first reaction was, "I'm late." However, he only reacted after a long while. She seemed to be unemployed now. With a deep sense of powerlessness in her heart, Yu Lily got up and washed, changed her clothes, and went out to look for a job. With a debt, she was now short of money, short of money, short of money, short of money. Chapter 775. With her resume, Yu Lily almost went to all the job markets in the capital. However, it was either not suitable or the salary was low. The highest salary was less than 5,000 yuan a month. In a city like the capital, there was little money left except for food and accommodation. So, at the end of the day, she got nothing. Yu Lily felt extremely embarrassed. Even when she just came to the capital for a year and was cheated of more than 1 million yuan by her roommate, she was not as sad as she was at this moment. Poor and frustrated. When she first moved out of the orphanage, the director said that she had a low life and bad luck. At that time, she just laughed it off. Who knew that today, she fell into such a situation? At about 5 o'clock in the evening, she bought instant noodles in the convenience store near the talent market and sat under the sun umbrella next to the convenience store. This was her third instant noodles today. Yu Lily looked down at her mobile phone, looking at the phone number she had just saved in the market and the text messages she had received. Suddenly, the sound of high heels was getting closer and closer. Yu Lily looked up and saw a beautiful woman with delicate makeup on her face, looking at her with her arms crossed. She was wearing a beautiful, bright, rose-red skirt and a white jacket. She was carrying this year's latest Chanel handbag. The watch and accessories on her hand all showed the owner's taste and wealth. Seeing this woman, Yu Lily felt a little familiar and frowned. How you? Hearing this name, Yu Lily finally remembered and was a little surprised. It turns out to be you, Sister Hao. Hao Yu, the woman who took her to the entertainment club and took her to sell. At that time, she was young and ignorant. Because of the lack of money, she followed Hao Yu to travel. After arriving there, she found that kind of place. And the role she played at that time was a prostitute. At that time, she tried her best to reduce her sense of existence and desperately wanted to escape. For this reason, Hao Yu also helped her take a slap. Later, Yu Lily saw that Hao Yu was beaten because of her and felt extremely guilty. In the end, she went out honestly. It was also at that time that she met Oh Ming. At the age of 17, she was kept by Oh Ming, and since then, she was like a canary. Since then, Yu Lily had never seen Hao Yu again. Who knew that she would see her in the capital? When he saw Hao Yu, he inexplicably felt a sense of familiarity, as if he had met an old friend in a foreign land. For more than 4 years, she had never met anyone she used to know. Except for Oh Ming, there was no one else. Instant noodles? Hao Yu sat down next to her and glanced at it. She found that there was less than half of the soup left in the instant noodles. Putting down the bag in her hand, Hao Yu took out a yogurt and asked, "Are you full? How about I treat you to a feast?" Huh? Yu Lily blushed and felt a little embarrassed. It just so happens that I haven't eaten either. Let's eat together. There's a Cantonese restaurant nearby. It's pretty good. Okay, thank you, Sister Hao. After running for a whole day, a bowl of instant noodles was not enough to satisfy his hunger. After the meal, Yu Lily realized that she was starving. Yu Lily had been gorging herself, but how you hadn't moved much. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.